taxed at 25%. There's a 10% tariff on Canadian energy. Tariffs on Chinese goods have gone up from 10 to 20%. And in response, China is slapping tariffs of up to 15% on a wide range of farm exports from the United States. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is also imposing 25% tariffs against more than $150 billion of American products.
Mexico's president may also retaliate today. The U.S. has hit the pause button on military aid for Ukraine to battle Russia's invasion. Fox's Bill Malugin reports.
Senior Trump administration official tells Fox this is not a permanent termination of aid. It's just a pause for now. That official says the move is in response to Ukrainian President Zelensky's conduct and behavior in recent days, that including, obviously, the heated back and forth with President Trump and VP Vance in the Oval Office on Friday.
Now, Vice President Vance tells Fox's Hannity.
The president has set a very clear goal for his administration. He wants the killing to stop.
The White House confrontation last week also stopped the U.S. and Ukraine from signing a minerals deal as part of talks to end the war with Russia. Now, President Trump may talk about all that tonight when he addresses the nation before a joint session of Congress, discussing his agenda in a State of the Union-like speech. The president is a new cabinet member.
The yeas are 51, the nays are 45. The nomination is confirmed.
The Senate approving Linda McMahon as education secretary leading the department. The president wants to eliminate letting the states deal with schools. Democrats oppose that. America's listening to Fox News.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. But don't just take our word for it. Here's Jackie and Veronica, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Just call or click to see how much you can save today. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit ConsumerCellular.com. That's 1-888-FREEDOM or ConsumerCellular.com today. Real people pay to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
The Morning Xtra, only on Xtra 106.3.
Morning, y'all. I used to think Tuesday was terrible. Los has helped me see the ill of my ways.
It's
and now
not.
It is
awesome.
A glorious Tuesday. So glorious that I am going to crack a free bird.
There you go. Get that water in you. Get hydrated. Be ready for your Tuesday.
That's exactly right. Takes that. Some people takes coffee. I never had a cup of coffee in my life. Neither is Los. We drink water, and what do you got over there, Monster?
I got a 0FG.
0FG? Even better.
I don't even know what this monster is you speak of.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I'm a company man, and this is the greatest drink I've ever had.
Delicious. Listen to that gloriousness.
So refreshing.
Right down to the last drop.
Right in my gullet. So happy.
Right here in this general area.
No, it's Tuesday. It's fine. You know what? You made it through
Master.
Monday. Monday's the one day where you're like, oh, I got to get this thing cranked up. I can understand why you don't like Monday. Tuesday's fine. We're good. Yeah. Let's go.
I always thought that it just didn't have anything going. It was just kind of there, you know.
Except tacos.
To see, and then when reality punched me right in the jaw, and you get Taco Tuesday, I knew that I was wrong, and I had seen the ill of my ways, and Los has helped me see that.
I know in college there was a bar down over in downtown Fort Worth called the Fox and Hound, and they had $2 pint night on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you could have $10 and go have a good time.
Get yourself full.
So me and my teammates, we would always venture down on a Tuesday.
That's right.
Monday, you would play your Saturday, Sunday, you'd have your practice on Monday. Tuesday was typically the day where everything kind of scaled back. So we do pint night. So I looked at Tuesday as a fun time.
Delicious. Pint night at
wonderful.
Fox and Hounds. I love it. Dude, for me, when I was in the Navy, because you were playing baseball in Texas and I was in the Navy, and we had Chinello's Pizza, and it was so good. I don't know if let me look. I should probably look it up.
Yeah, I've never even heard of Chinello's.
Yeah, it was like a local chain in Virginia Beach, Norfolk, just that whole Tidewater area of Virginia. But it was the thing. Everybody ordered Chinello's because they would deliver and they could come out and you'd meet them at the pier, at the end of the pier. You'd get off the ship, go down the brow. meet them at the pier and pay, whatever it was, and you come in and, man, you want to talk about making friends quick. When you bring an old pizza
Bring
home,
a hot pie over to a bunch of guys in the Navy,
especially
bunch of sailors ready to go.
Especially on a duty night, when you have to stay on the boat 24 hours. That started at World War II and the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Used to, they would just turn the lights off and go home. And then World War II, and the bombing of Pearl Harbor happened, and then that became 24-hour watches and whatever. So everybody has to stay on a 24-hour watch, whatever the schedule is for every 4 days.
The 24-hour watch says Chanelos.
Yes, it
Nothing
does.
says 24-hour watch like Chanelos.
That's exactly right. It was almost, you didn't look forward to having a 24-hour watch because you had to stay on the ship. You couldn't go on Liberty, just do whatever you wanted to do. And
Virginia's best pizza for over 20 years.
See, there you go. And so that means it must have started right about the time that I was stationed there. So how about that? It's still going strong.
Chanelos is a hometown favorite for delicious pizza, subs, and wings.
I would love just to go back and try it one time. Yeah, because I've not been back to Virginia Beach in, 20 plus years. So I'd love to go back. And I don't know how their subs are. I don't know how their wings are. Never ordered them.
Since we've brought up both tacos and pizza this morning,
two of my favorites.
If you had to choose one for the rest of your life, pizza or tacos?
Without it's not even close.
Yeah. All right, we're all on the same page.
It's not even.
We're all right here.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with the taco.
No.
Because the taco,
I adore them.
But here's the difference. Like the pizza, I think my wife is gross because she likes cold pizza for breakfast. She won't heat it up. I find that to be kind of strange.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, there is a lot wrong with that. It's her communist nature that really plays into her. She's like, it's cold. Let's face it.
It's cold like my heart.
A pizza is wonderful when it's hot and it shows up at your doorstep and the cheese is melty and everything's great. Once it kind of hardens up a little bit, now it's like eating. Now it's a good shoe, but it's like eating your shoe.
Right.
That's the way she prefers it.
She prefers it that way.
In
See,
the
that's
morning.
the difference. I can eat a slice cold, but it's only like if there's like 3 slices left that's a leftover. I'll put 2 in the toaster oven, crisp them up, get them out, and I'll eat the third one just cold. You know what I mean? While I'm waiting. That's because I have no patience.
It's just to suffer a little bit before you get the good stuff. Whereas a taco, though, taco's got versatility. Breakfast taco, lunch taco, dinner taco. Just depends on what you put in it.
Amen, brother.
Because you can have. Think about it. If I was to put shrimp on your pizza in the morning, you're making a face like that's gross.
Yeah, a little bit.
If you have a shrimp taco in the morning, not good. If you have bacon and egg in there, pretty good. By the time you put shrimp and something else in it in the evening, totally different.
You're right. The versatility is strong. Although, don't they have a breakfast pizza too somewhere?
Yes, sir.
I feel like I saw the sign at QT or something.
I used to make breakfast pizzas at Johnny's Pizza when I was in college.
What, do they sell them?
No.
Oh, they just.
That was just kind of the cook special. We would all make them in there on a Saturday morning after a late Friday night.
Now I'm having to look at it.
I like it.
The breakfast pizza. Like, what comes on this?
I've never had one. I can't.
You can do it with scrambled eggs as the base, or you can do it with gravy, like sausage gravy kind of stuff.
Oh, Lord. All right.
Get creative.
All right. I love it. We've discussed what we're having for dinner already. Well, it's Tuesday, so it's got to be tacos.
Yeah.
Because it'll be.
I got to make it 4 hours. I wanted to eat my foot.
Go to Taco Bell and get the Mexican pizza.
There you go. Knock it out of the park right away.
I don't think Uber Eats delivers at this hour.
No, they probably don't.
Although I do have my Waffle House app. Now that's effective, but you got to pick it up.
Dude.
The last time when I tried to call my Waffle House to get my hash browns, and they were like, excuse me, sir, we changed policy. You need to use the app. I was like, what do you mean app? I was shocked when you went away from cash only.
What is this app you speak of?
You're moving too quick. I'm just a caveman. I don't understand this.
Slow it down, Taco Bell. Slow it down. It's like that. It reminds me of the way Snoop said it in that T-Mobile commercial.
You're giving it away too fast.
Slow down.
I do love that line. You're giving it away too fast.
Dude, I don't know what it is about Snoop Dogg. He's America's favorite uncle. I know that. He's gone from
America's guest.
Yeah, well, yeah. But he's gone from somebody that was a gangster rapper and accused of murder to America's favorite guest or favorite uncle, whatever your description.
When NBC says, let's do the Olympics in Paris and let's take Snoop Dogg.
But why not? I love it. I think it's so funny.
He truly is the new Willie Nelson.
Kind of
Willie's still around, but Snoop is right there.
I hadn't even thought of it in that. You're exactly right.
That's right. Willie had that role about 30 years ago.
Yep, where he would just show up and everybody was like, "Oh, it's Willie," and everybody knew what that meant, the connotation behind "there's Willie," and so I guess Snoop fills the role quite nicely. Dude, I love it. We've explored all kinds of things that I didn't even expect this morning. I had no idea the education that we were going to give everybody.
He was not sure what to do to open up the show, and now. But that's the best. That's the one that works the best. Like when you just throw it out there, and it just goes on its own. We welcome you at 404-741-1230 if you want to talk about Snoop or pizza or tacos, or if you want to talk about politics, because we got a lot of that to talk about. And we got a lot of good stuff today.
Holy cow. I ran across this, and I thought this is the best description of Europe that I think I may have ever seen. And it is Europe, when they're polled, Europeans, they're like, hey, we need to give more to Ukraine. But it's those same Europeans that don't want that money coming from their own pockets. It's exactly how they treat their national defense. We're just going to let America fund everything and defend everyone. And I am fully against that. Los is fully against it. We're all fully against America being the pocketbook for everyone and everything. But it just shows you the mentality that they have in Europe. Don't worry about it. The Americans will take care of it. We don't got to pay for anything. It's a free ride.
We have the term NIMBY. George Carlin told us the term NIMBY back about 30 years ago when he talked about build more prisons. Not in my backyard. Like, as long as you do it, Just don't do it next to my home. So my thinking is, what about not in my back pocket?
Yes, that works too.
So it's a little bit of a different change there, but it's the same concept that Europe wants to make grand plans, but they don't want to pay for all of it, and they certainly don't want to actually put together the military spending to enforce their great ideas.
Listen to this. People in Denmark, Sweden, Spain, Britain, Germany, Italy, and France, anywhere between Denmark at 66% to France at 52%, saying Ukraine is not getting enough Western support. Then, so every one of them, the majority, every one of them. Then, think about this. Who should pay for this support? In Sweden, only 29% of people said, yeah, we need to pay for it too. Now, we want them to have it. We just won't pay for it. And it goes down to Italy. Get this. Only 11% of Italians want to actually pay for it. 53% said it should be done. Only 11 actually want to do it. I can't think of a greater example of the failures and just the mentality of Europe. Just let America do it. Just let Los pay for it. Just let Jeray pay for it. Oh, Tug will pay for it. It's like when you go out to dinner and you got that one friend that's the last person to pull out their wallet when everybody's
tapping their shirt.
Yeah. Oh man, I forgot.
I forgot my wallet. How'd you come out? What kind of adult are you?
Well, but once in a while, you're like, oh man, don't worry about it. I got it. Even if you know it, I got it. But 2 or 3 times in, you're like, dude. You're just going to try to take advantage every time?
That's the Swedes, the Italians. I forgot my wallet, everybody. I'm sorry.
They're the friend, Los, that has forgotten their wallet every freaking time.
So you drop about 50 tanks into Ukraine, and suddenly the Italians are tapping themselves. Oh, I forgot my billfold.
Gosh.
Oh, too bad, everybody. I'm sorry.
Do y'all mind sending another $200 billion? I just forgot my wallet. You know?
One of my favorite memes about Friday was a picture of Trump, Zelensky, and Vance all kind of having their moment, and it said, when that one friend who is always broke says, yeah, order some pizza, get some wings too.
It adds a little something extra.
That's right. Can we get an appetizer too?
Hey, yeah. Can we get a little bit extra on that?
Cheesy bread.
Well, hold on a second. What do you mean extra?
You're adding nothing. What do you can't, beggars can't be choosers. What are you talking about? You better accept what you've gotten and be appreciative of it. And Zelensky did anything but be appreciative. We saw that blow up in the White House for that exact reason.
It's all laid out over the last 24, 48 hours. There is a reason why you've now seen Zelensky trying to come back to the United States hat in hand, try to make this deal work. But yet, you then read the stories of who else he signed deals with in the anticipation that, well, they're going to help me. Turns out they ain't got the money to help you.
3 days before President Trump is inaugurated, they sign a minerals deal with the UK. Zelensky does. And you're thinking, well wait. I thought that was something you're doing with America because America is going to be able to actually help you. No, it was preemptive and I don't know that they'll get anything out of it. Do the British even have the ability to go into Ukraine and get this job done? Do they have the military might to be able to go in there and make sure that whatever they build isn't blown up?
No. And this is where if you're this country, and I think we'll see this as this all kind of plays out, because I do believe eventually by the end of this week you will have a deal done. I can't imagine that when the Ukrainians are left to their own devices without any military support from the United States, that deadline doesn't get a deal done. It's going to dry up, and they're going to be looking around going, we have to do something here. I firmly believe you can go over to the UK, you can go over to their prime minister and say, about that deal that you signed, you're going to sign it over to me, but you're going to pay us double.
I love it, dude. That would make nothing would make me smile more than that right there.
Nothing makes everyone much more mad than the United States leveraging their power right now. Y'all are just mean. Why are you doing that? Because you owe us. Well, everybody does.
Because you'll forget your wallet again.
Yes.
That's why.
You'll order the cheesy bread.
That's right. And ask for wings on top of it.
Can we add some cheesy bread and some wings to go along with that pizza you're going to pay for?
Yeah, hat in hand. And I love the fact that Trump's like, we're not doing anything. We're pausing all military aid. We're not stopping it. We're just going to pause it.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea of what it might be like if we say we're out, which we've told you we're not above doing. We're not past doing. Saying we're just out. You in the UK, since y'all got the deal, y'all got the relationship, y'all handle it.
By all means, hand them your own javelins.
That's right.
See how that goes.
And then, outside of a little bit of artillery, they don't have the industrial situation to be able to manufacture weapons. They certainly can't manufacture the high-end weapons like the HIMARS system that the United States has sent over. They're not able to do any of that. They know it. Ukraine knows it. And that's why Los is exactly right. At some point in the next probably 24 hours, it won't be a, hey, we're tough guy all of a sudden. It won't look like it did on Friday where I'm talking back. It is going to be that moment when the kid knows that his daddy's right and he's got to go talk to his daddy about being wrong.
That's one of the aspects of war that I think it gets overlooked. Oftentimes, you have people that ignore supply lines. How incredibly important that is in order to sustain a fighting effort throughout history. When you outrun your supply lines, it doesn't take long for forces to suddenly become ineffective. All right, what happens when there isn't a supply line?
Yeah,
that is what the U.S. is testing with them. It's like, listen, we will cut off what you're being given. Now see you go fight this. And they can, the Ukrainians can hang out for a while. They can make this last for a while. But once the supply line is cut off, that's the end of this conflict. And for the people that are out there that are complaining about trying to end a war in Europe, what's wrong with you? I was reading a guy who he's a big advocate for, his daughter was killed in a school shooting, and he's complaining about this. I'm like, hold on a second. So you are an advocate for ending gun violence, yet you're upset about ending a war in Europe?
Which is the ultimate gun violence. Is
there anything more?
Mass killing.
Where you just go, wow, it strictly is all political with you, isn't it?
What's the number now of dead in Ukraine and Russia? I mean, it's in the hundreds of thousands.
We're talking about, as of now, you're looking at 500,000 is what the estimate on each side.
And this is with the Ukrainians physically having to round people up. And you've seen the videos. I've seen the videos of the Ukrainian military going and rounding people up, rounding military-aged men and boys up and throwing them in the back of a truck of some sort and saying, hey, we're taking you to the front lines. That's what's happening in Ukraine.
Right now, the American estimate is over 800,000 dead on each side, as far as the totals.
And this guy is upset that Donald Trump wants to end this war. The logic is not there. It does not make any sense whatsoever. And yet, they take it to social media. They take it on TV at night.
I'm so mad. They want to end a war.
Furious. That's right. Who? What? I thought it was the left that was the peaceniks, right?
No. This is totally changed.
Yeah, no kidding.
There's always the myth that they'll always tell you, after the Civil War, it switched sides, and the Democrats were suddenly the people that were all about civil rights.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, that never really happened. That's a total myth. But it is interesting that the neocons, when they went looking for who are the people that are going to provide us our wars to make us money, it totally did flip from, hey, we can depend on the Republicans wanting to bomb everything, to no, the Democrats are the ones that are going to, and it all goes back to Donald Trump. Under George Bush, you had a home. Here are the people that wanted war. They found it within the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And Dick Cheney. Under Donald Trump, they had to go over to the Democrats because they did not have a home when it came to war fighting with that party and with him anymore.
The craziness of politics and the strange bedfellows and the strange pretzel moments, as Los just described, with a man who is against gun violence, but is also against ending the war in Ukraine.
Ponder that one.
All morning long, because it'll take you that long just to come to the conclusion that, man, these people are crazy.
I don't want anybody to be shot.
Except for 800,000.
Except for the Russo-Ukrainian war must continue.
That's right. Obama and his administration showed up in the Oval Office on Friday. You may not have seen them, but you heard from them. Next on the Morning Extra, we'll hit the headlines, too. This is Extra 106.3.
Attention Warriors, are you a veteran ready to navigate to success after service? Tune in to the Warrior Alliance Network. Join us as we spotlight inspiring stories, provide essential resources, and connect you with a community dedicated to empowering veterans. From career advice to health and wellness tips, the Warrior Alliance Network is your go-to hub for post-service success. Tune in Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. on Extra 106.3. Join us on the mission, the Warrior Alliance Network, where warriors thrive together. Visit us at thewarrioralliance.org for more information.
For half a century, glyphosate has affordably and effectively protected Georgia farmers' crops from invasive weeds. Without it, the impact would be felt beyond the fields, hitting Americans where it hurts, our wallets. That's why the Modern Ag Alliance advocates for farmers' continued access to essential crop protection tools, so food prices don't rise even more. Get the facts at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Georgia farmers.
Don't miss the first MLB All-Star Week event at Truist Park as talent meets tradition in the 3rd annual HBCU Swingman Classic presented by T-Mobile and powered by the MLBPA Youth Development Foundation. Join fans, athletes, and alumni to watch Hall of Famer Ken Griffey Jr. shine a light on 50 of the best young ball players from HBCUs around the country on baseball's biggest stage, July 11th at 7 p.m. Get your tickets today at allstargame.com/swingman.
Insurance companies know that you don't know a lot about the law, so maybe it would be better just to let your lawyer make the call to the insurance company when there's a problem. David Van Sant should be that lawyer. He used to work for the insurance company. He knows who to call, what to say, and he has your best interest at heart. Plus, if you don't get paid, either does he. Van Sant Law, 855 GA Injury or vansantlaw.com.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on this station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Imagine all the things you dream of under one roof. You're thinking of eBay. Fashion, collectibles, car parts, it's all there. Go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your headlines for Tuesday, March 4th. Fort Moore is undergoing another name change. U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth signed a memorandum Monday that reverts the name of the Army base to Fort Benning. The name change pays tribute to Corporal Fred G. Benning, who was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross for his actions in World War I. A resolution to legalize sports betting in Georgia goes up for vote in the House this week. The bill's sponsor, Representative Marcus Wiedauer, says regulating online sports betting could generate $150 million for Georgia pre-K. If passed, the legislation will allow Georgians to vote on legalized sports betting in 2026. Another windy day today with highs in the low 70s and storms moving in overnight. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
Los, I feel like part of the Obama administration showed up in the Oval Office on Friday. As I've said, I think Zelensky was coached up to behave the way he did, and that's what he went with. That's what he ran with. The fact that Susan Rice, people like that, the old Obama team who installed Zelensky to begin with, were partially to blame for his outlandish behavior. Now, he had to do it. Obviously, he had to say, yep, you know what, this is good. I'm going to go with it. Let's see if we can rattle Trump's cage and get what we want, because it works so well, swimmingly almost, with the Biden administration. Remember how many times he would yell and scream and holler, and all of a sudden there'd be a new money package or a new weapons package to the Ukrainians? He didn't realize that things have dramatically shifted since November of 2024.
There's a Game of Thrones aspect to this. If anybody watched the show, you remember the multitude of storylines that were always playing out. And again, it was all about the throne, but there's 6 or 7 storylines that are always going on, and who's playing who, and what is the plan moving forward, and what is the expected result versus actually what happens. Susan Rice and the rest of them, according to reports, thought to themselves.
From the Federalist is where this is stimulated,
yes,
or coming from
this
generated
story,
from.
That they anticipated Trump backing down, or that this was going to create a scenario in which case you would have a whole different set of dollars that were going to come in from Europe to back these people. And what happened? Trump didn't back down. And while Europe pledged their fealty towards Ukraine,
got nothing.
It's not enough money.
They don't have enough money. They don't have the military. They have nothing, which is why you saw the Prime Minister of Great Britain, or the UK rather, say, hey, you need to go back there. He said this on television after they've been so vocal. We're in full support of Ukraine. They know they don't have anything, and they instructed Zelensky, you better rethink this. You better go work out that deal.
But if you're Zelensky and you're listening to these suggestions, what you're considering is, am I trading mineral rights for American security? Now, does that mean boots on the ground? No, of course not. That couldn't have been on the table. Would have meant maybe still a flowing of arms and supplies? Possibly.
Well, we got something we needed out of it, the rare earths.
But someone in that pre-meeting talked him into, you're going to get the arms and keep the minerals. And that's just dead wrong.
Yeah,
that's just a misunderstanding of what they thought was going to happen. And all you did was give Trump and Vance the ability to go in front of the American public. And Trump said, I'm not bending the knee to the globalists. Bend the knee again. Game of Thrones reference, everyone. Bend the knee. That was a fact of saying, I see what they're playing here. We're not going along with it.
Backing down. I wrote that when you said he's not backing down. I think they thought, meaning the Democrats and whoever instructed Zelensky to do this, they thought Trump would be under the spotlight, right? And sometimes under the spotlight, you may go along to get along, right? Because you don't want to hash this out in public. So you probably say things you wouldn't normally say. Trump doesn't work like that. The spotlight is on him. He's not afraid of that. When the on-air light comes on, he doesn't feel pressure like that. Donald Trump was like, I don't care where we are. I'm going to do what's best for the United States of America right now, today, tomorrow, and every day moving forward. The days of doing things that aren't helpful to America and Americans are over. I don't care how bright the light is.
No, that was the benefit of it. And because of the way that Zelensky conducted himself on live television, that only fed into it. I'm not doing this. If you're Donald Trump saying, I'm not going to put us in forever wars. We're ending this stuff and we're keeping our own treasure. Zelensky only helped his argument. Because there was probably some people, Lindsey Graham, let's keep helping them. Let's keep doing what we're doing. Even he said, this isn't working anymore.
Well, use Lindsey as the example. I used the ambassador that had her head in her hand. She knew it wasn't going well. She knew what was being shown to the world, that Donald Trump is right about this, and Donald Trump's going to steer the course. He's going to stay the course and do the right thing for America and the American people. He's not going to bend the knee, as he said, because why would you? Like, what's the benefit? We've done that already. And that has been it's failed policy. That has been a failure completely. That's exactly what Joe Biden did. That's exactly what Barack Obama did. And it got us nowhere.
Well, we can always say that with what we did, as far as the expenditure of money and the military equipment, that we created a trench warfare situation with the Russians, that they couldn't advance beyond where they've been. But in recent weeks, they've actually taken more area. The areas that are being negotiated, that you can keep these certain Russian areas that are traditionally Russian, they've expanded beyond that. You're now actually asking the Russians, hey, these more miles of territory, you got to give this part back. That's going to be a different discussion if they keep pushing inland. Because now you're having to tell them, hey, I know that extra 50 miles you created this buffer zone. Yeah, you got to give that back. Well, what are you going to give me for that?
Yeah, what's the negotiation? Which is why Donald Trump said, I can't blast Vladimir Putin right now, because if I do, he's not going to negotiate.
This deal, because we always want sweetheart deals. I don't care if you're talking about a home, a car, whatever you're trying to line up. I got a guy, and I'm going to get a sweetheart deal. This deal, the longer this goes on, is not going to get sweeter.
No, it's actually
for us or the Ukrainians. It's time to make this thing happen now.
Which is what the Europeans so surprisingly do not see. They do not understand that the deal gets worse. Now, I think what they do understand is they've got so much tied into the Ukraine. There's so much nastiness that goes on there. They understand that part of it. They understand, hey, this is how liberals and communists make their money, laundering money through the Ukraine. So they understand that part of it, but they have no backbone and they have no ability. Even if they were strong and they were resolute behind Ukraine, which I don't believe that they truly are, they don't have anything to back it up with. They've got nothing. All Elon Musk has to do is turn off Starlink. It's over. It is absolute. Russia could take the entirety of the country if they wanted to at that moment, because that's the only hope that the Ukrainians have. That's how they're flying drones, and that's how they're targeting the Russians using CIA and U.S. special operations.
Time to make a deal.
Yeah, it is. That's
and
right.
now there's been conflicting reports that Zelensky is taking the deal. It's back on the okay, I'm taking the deal. But there's been reports of, well, no, he's going to take the UK's deal.
Okay,
no,
well,
he's
good luck
going
with
to
that.
You figure out which one it's going to be. But the longer you delay, it only comes across.
The deal gets worse.
I joked around about it. Hitler had the fear bunker in Berlin. Here's the bunker, in which case he and Eva Braun took their cyanide pills, shot themselves. That was the fear bunker. Zelensky's fear bunker is the Oval Office. Here's where it came to an end. And whether he knows it or not, this is the end.
Oh, I think he does. I absolutely think he does. He knows that Europe can't help him. He knows they don't have a military.
Sign the deal.
Sign the deal. That's exactly right. Morning Xtra.
There's no more cards.
Yeah, we're the only reason you have cards to begin with.
I did change that on my profile, by the way.
What's that? We have no more cards.
You don't have the cards.
You don't have the cards, which is exactly right. They have.
That's such a poker play.
It is.
You want to see another card? You don't have the cards.
Yeah.
You don't have the money or the cards to see it.
And you know it. That's the biggest problem Zelensky has, is he knows he doesn't have the cards. He thought he could shake Trump down the way he did Joe Biden, and he can't. Tug and Los until 10. And Los did change that on his profile, but he probably should have put Grandma Killer up there, too.
Yeah, game recognizes game. Because I recognized during COVID, killed probably tens of hundreds of grandmas with my lifestyle. Didn't really change anything. I just
went out to eat and things.
Just took my ivermectin and just kind of rolled along. Never got it. And if I believe in Dr. Sabine Hazan, who, let's just say that she's had an interest in including me in one of her studies, is one of the people that never got COVID. And she believes that it might have something to do with your microbiome. She's published a paper on that has been peer-reviewed and acknowledged that some people have a certain amount of gut health where they just are not susceptible to certain illnesses. I say that to then say, I probably didn't kill tens of hundreds of grandmas.
No, truly, but that's what they accused you of.
They did. Now, Andrew Cuomo, now that
he did
is a different scenario. The former governor of New York, who at one point proceeded to march people that we knew to be ill back into nursing homes. Now, the average
with
age
their
of
comorbidities.
Their average age of death for people in this country when it came to COVID was 78 years old. It was an elderly disease. Yes, there's some randoms here and there, just as there is anything else, but largely a 78-year-old on average is who this thing killed. Cuomo has so many deaths on his ledger, and yet he came out as he's going to be the savior, is that he was basically saying he wants to run for mayor in his first appearance since his campaign launched over the weekend. This guy who got run out of, by the way, he got run out of the governorship of New York, not for his actions during COVID of killing thousands of elderly people. He got run out for bad touch. He touched somebody and somebody said, "Woo, hey, lawsuit."
But
bad touch.
That's just karma credit right there. That's karma coming around. They didn't get him the way they should have. It's like Al Capone. They didn't get Al Capone for being a gangster. They got him for tax evasion. They still got him.
And so, again, as one player to another, I'm like, player, I got my grandma, so did you. Now, I don't think I should be able to run for the mayor of New York, but we'll see if New York, because now that we're 5 years removed, is going to remember that Andrew Cuomo killed your grandparents.
I can't imagine him, because the campaign against him is going to be so easy. The ads are going to write themselves, and people will not forget. I mean, you got Janice Dean from Fox News Channel, the weather lady.
Both. She had a multitude.
It was her mother-in-law and father-in-law
that were both killed because of Cuomo's acts and how that spread around the nursing home.
She's very vocal on social media about it.
Yep.
She is maybe the most vocal of anybody that I've seen that has not let it go. And good for her. She shouldn't let it go. Is that her pinned picture?
She has a pinned picture that just says, "Thank you for not forgetting." And yes, it's mother-in-law and father-in-law.
Who are now deceased because of the actions of
Andrew Cuomo.
That's exactly right.
And the move that he made, this, just kind of taking a look at just her timeline, that was such a traumatic moment that could have been avoided. Now, when you have elderly parents, who knows? Maybe they live 2 more months, maybe they live 5 more years, but like every single day is like an additional blessing to you. To know that you had a politician who made a move that we knew around the country, nobody else was doing this. He was. And so that was a majority of your deaths in the state of New York, were nursing home deaths, in part because of his policies to keep these people locked down in this area. He just thought to themselves, and it was very cold and dirty fashion, that if we can just keep the deaths to these areas and these elderly people, it won't spread amongst the majority of the population. But we knew.
We already knew.
We already knew. I was publishing data on Twitter at the time, X now, about what the South Koreans had found about the average age, comorbidities, and at the time it was 99.6. Turned out to be 99.7. Yet Andrew Cuomo thought to himself, if we just burn out the nursing homes, we don't have to worry about it spreading amongst the main population.
And that's why
they sacrificed him.
He will never be elected. It'd be too easy. It's so simple. It's so obvious that he does not belong in any place of power.
We're going to find out how much that place has turned if it's gone more to a purplish end. We're going to find out, because that's some of the numbers that it was the Jewish Americans in the city of New York that had pushed so much more into Trump's favor, and the young people that had pushed more into Trump's favor, that suddenly it wasn't an automatic when it came to governorships or when it came to the mayor.
Anymore. Yeah. I don't believe he'll ever be. I don't think he will ever be elected there because of what he did. You'll have lots of people like Janice Dean that will lead the charge, gladly lead the charge.
After killing thousands of elderly people, Andrew Cuomo should be in prison, not running for mayor. How about this one? He should be in prison for murder, not running for mayor. So, no, I'm glad people have not forgotten there.
Not forgotten. I believe that and I've not even done that search, but I'm glad that I'm hearing it. Tug and Los on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. When we come back, Donald Trump has the backing of Americans, which is all that really matters when it comes to Ukraine. We'll talk about that next on Extra 106.3.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Tuesday, March 4th. The Atlanta Hawks got a last-second buzzer beater in Memphis for the win to beat the Grizzlies 132-130. Karis LeVert scores the game winner with no time left on the clock after a steal by Dyson Daniels. The Hawks are now 28-33 on the season. From the NFL, the deadline for franchise tagging players is quickly approaching. The Minnesota Vikings are reportedly unlikely to tag quarterback Sam Darnold after the Vikings are looking to re-sign the quarterback. Darnold was 14-3 as a starter last season. And from Braves spring training, the Braves are in action this afternoon from Northport as they host the Minnesota Twins this afternoon. First pitch is set for 1:05. You can hear that game on our sister station with their app, 680 The Fan.
Are you concerned about securing your family's future and assets? Look no further than Nelson Elder Care Law. As a family-owned and family-focused firm, we offer absolute assurance and peace of mind through our comprehensive asset protection services. Visit NelsonElderCareLaw.com to explore how we can safeguard your legacy and provide tailored solutions for your family's well-being.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's TRUprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
HGI Wealth Advisors is your financial defense partner, preparing you for the unexpected when the inevitable happens in life. Our tailored strategies empower families to build wealth, generate infinite income, and mitigate taxes, fees, and penalties. At HGI Wealth Advisors, we help you transfer wealth while creating an everlasting legacy. Our goal is to ensure you meet your financial needs today, tomorrow, and into retirement. Our experienced team is committed to ensuring your legacy endures for generations to come. Learn more at hgiwealthadvisors.com.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Are you tired of dealing with drafty, inefficient windows? Do you have certain rooms in the house that you can't keep cool in the summer or warm in the winter? Hi, I'm Dan Watkins with All Four Seasons Garage Entry Doors and Windows. It's time to upgrade these old windows. Replace them with double-pane, beautiful, energy-efficient windows. Your new windows will help you regulate a perfect temperature throughout your house. Start saving big money on your energy bills and improve the curb appeal of your home. Give us a call today at 770-517-7078.
If the president reignites the economy, the price of one commodity, oil, could go way down and dramatically reduce everybody's cost of living. But do you know which commodity could soar in price? Silver. Because silver is an industrial metal. It's used in things like electronics, cell phones, TVs, computers. And if the economy booms, the demand for all of these products will boom right along with it. That's why Investing Haven predicts silver will test its former all-time high of $50 in 2025 and move higher to $77 by 2028. That's a 50% price increase and 140% higher in 3 years. If you want to learn more about rising silver prices ahead, call Lear Capital now at 800-889-3070 for your free Sky High Silver Report and Precious Metals IRA Guide. And when you call, you can also ask how to receive up to $15,000 in free gold or silver with qualifying purchase. 800-889-3070. Call them today. 800-889-3070.
Securing America.
The Senate Judiciary Committee recently held a hearing concerning the lack of security for minors online. Iowa Republican Senator Chuck Grassley on today's digital era.
Our young people face risks that previous generations couldn't even have imagined.
Many senators called for the repeal of Section 230 of the Communications Act, which protects online companies from liability concerning users' posts. Catholic University law professor Mary Graw-Leary testified that
there is no way to look under the hood of this incredibly dangerous industry.
South Carolina State Representative Brandon Guffey, whose 17-year-old son committed suicide after being sexually extorted online, testified about the lack of action from the tech giants.
Instagram removed the profile that attacked Gavin, but left up the additional profiles that predators use.
Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
The Morning Extra from 6 to 10. Glenn Beck until noon. Clay and Buck from noon to 3. And The Kimmer Show on your ride home from 3 to 6. Plus Jesse Kelly from 6 to 9. And Jimmy Vela from 9 to midnight. The voices you need all day with a conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
I feel like I should have been at that Waffle House down in Melbourne, Florida, when they're all singing and dancing. They were singing Kodak Black, No Flocking. Yep. And the video's blown up, and it's just people getting along.
Having a good time at a Waffle House.
At a Waffle House. Those are my people. Those are my people, those. I should have been there with them. I feel left out.
Waffle House number 803. That one's mine. Good time every time.
Yeah. Gosh, I know.
I walk in. I don't think I told you this story. So I ordered, because on the app I wasn't able to add mushrooms to my order. I normally get hash browns with mushrooms. So I make the hash brown order. I walk in. I could not add mushrooms to the order. When I walked in, the lady who always helps me goes, "Hey, you didn't add mushrooms to the order."
She do.
And I said, "Yeah, I couldn't do it on the app." She goes, "It's okay, sweetie. We grilled them for you anyway. We put them on the side."
That's Waffle House
Just
right
in
there.
case.
I'm telling you, this weekend we had a bunch of the families on my son's baseball team, and we all went to dinner afterwards, which is, it's common all the time, no matter what level you're playing ball. And it came up that my birthday place to go eat every year is Waffle House.
Yeah.
And nobody could believe it. They're like, "What? You don't go to like a really nice place?" I'm like, "What do you mean?
What do you
Waffle
mean?
House
What do
is
you
a
mean
really
not
nice
nice?
place. That's the place I want to go. That's where I that's my favorite place to go."
I built it into my kids. They both see it as special when they get to grab Waffle House.
Dude, I'm with you 100%. And I feel like because they're my people and obviously your people, we go in there, we're probably going to be able to have a good conversation. And I think most people at Waffle House and across America, because Waffle House is a good cross-section of Americans.
Good barometer.
Yeah. They probably think, you know what Trump is doing with this whole Ukraine thing? Probably the right thing.
I feel like one of two things has happened. Either the truth is now all out there as far as how Americans really feel about Ukraine, not the people on social media putting up the flags or all the silliness, or America has gotten a brain transplant. One or the other.
Has to be that first one. I don't know that we've done that second one yet.
So Harry Enton, he's the data analyst with CNN. He ended up having the polling, which was how Joe Biden versus how Donald Trump is handling Ukraine. I want you to take a listen, because this was shocking to CNN, because they have been living in this world of Ukrainian flags in your profile, and Ukraine is great, and it's a great democracy, and we're here to defend democracy. Take a listen to how Americans in a CBS YouGov poll feel.
Americans on the Russia-Ukraine war want a quicker end of the war, but Russia keeps its captured land. Look at this, 50%, bare majority coming in here, support Ukraine's right to fight, even if it means a longer war. That's at 48. This is very, very close. But the trend line on this question is so important, because that want a quick end of the war, if you go back to August of 2022, it was at 31%. Now we're at 50%. I mean, that is a rocket ship upwards in terms of the Americans who want a quick end to the war, even if it means Russia keeps the captured Ukraine land. Americans are moving closer and closer to wanting a compromise, even if it means that Ukraine doesn't really get what it set out to want, at least at the beginning of this war.
It seems so obvious.
Quick end.
Good.
Joe Biden, who was underwater by 22 points on this subject. Donald Trump is a +2. And here's a little extra internal for you. When it comes to the share of who wants to have compromise to end this war, again, as I said, 31% used to, now it's 50%. But here's the other key number. The share who say Russia is the enemy was 64%. It's now 34%.
Wow. Because we know, anybody that's paying attention knows Ukraine is not a place that's this
filled with good guys.
Yes, exactly right. It's not that at all. This is not good versus evil. And I know we've discussed it 1,000 times, but I think it's worth saying again. This is bad versus bad. Zelensky, you think he's a good dude? He suspended elections. He's putting people that want to go to church in jail.
But
don't tell me how good he is.
But I love that what we have talked about has now hit the mainstream.
But we've been talking about it for a year and a half.
We've been talking about it for 2 years about how this scenario plays out. And it's taken that time for, at one point when we were bringing this up, 64% of Americans would have said, you guys are wrong. Now, it's just 34%. A majority of Americans are like, you're right, there's no good people here, let's get out of this thing. Quick end is the way to go. I'm like, thank you for finally coming around to what I've been saying for years and what this show has been saying for years.
I would love to know what the polling on that exact question says after Friday, after seeing what happened at the Oval Office on Friday at the White House. Because I bet that number continues to go in the direction of us. It continues to illustrate that people are like, oh my gosh, this dude is an egomaniac. And I'm not saying that egomaniacs are terrible. I'm just saying he's not a good dude. He believes that he is owed something, and he believes that he can go in and push people around. He can wag the dog, and he cannot.
This is what is been interesting to look at when it comes to this polling data. Because you will have the other side that will say, well, look at Russian propaganda. It's working. No propaganda is working.
Nobody believes anything.
Nobody believes any of this stuff anymore. This is outstanding for this country, for you to look into information, read up on your own. Remember, this is a country that at one point they tried to tell me in 2016 that Facebook ads are what turned the election. Russian propaganda.
Yeah.
Nobody's paying attention to that stuff anymore. Nobody's paying attention to the news. So you think that because the Russians say we're the good guys, we're paying attention to it? No, we're not even paying attention to our own media. None of the propaganda is working. This is where the numbers are completely shifting into what is sane and what is real world reality that we need to handle.
And that every situation's not rosy, right? I mean, there's never, in any negotiation, somebody's going to have to give a little and take a little. And if everybody feels like they got a little and had to give up a little, that's a successful negotiation. That's the way it is. In every situation, I'm not talking about war, I'm talking about in business.
But that was the shocking part to Harry Enton when he was doing the data analysis for CNN, when he looked at the internals and he told the CNN audience.
Dude, can you imagine their chin?
A majority of Americans want this war over without the Russians even giving up the land they've conquered. That was the part that they were shocked at. Like, wait a minute. They're not able to just take land and you just let them have it. You've got to keep fighting them. No, Americans say, yeah, it's their land. We don't care about it. Take it.
And on top of that, if you continue to fight for it, you're going to continue to have Zelensky and the Ukrainians rounding up people to send to the grinder, to send to the slaughterhouse. Do you think that's a good idea? Is it a better idea to give up the land that want to be Russian to begin with? That's the other thing that gets left out. A lot of those areas that they went into, they want to be Russian anyway. And that I don't want to be Russian. They do. So when that land is given up, they're just getting what they wanted to begin with.
And by the way, just so we go further into these internals and the information. So if you look at this from December of the end of 2024, you had Americans, 27% looked at it as push Ukraine to let the Russians keep the territory they've gained. That is now altered.
It was 27.
It was 20. It was 22% in 2024. It then moved over to 27%. But here's the difference now. The numbers of overall people that are like end the war has jumped up by almost 30 more percent into the 50% range.
It's so clear, dude. It's clear to anybody. The thing has been, I'll call it a stalemate for a lack of a better word. It's been a stalemate for how long now? It's not like anybody's going back and taking land back. It's not like anybody's pushing forward.
No, the lines have been set generally for about 2 years.
And nothing has moved. That's why that number of people going, dude, you're not getting that land back. It doesn't matter how long we allow this war, how long we prolong this war. That land is not going back to Ukraine. You can put as many people into the war and have as many people killed as you want to, and nothing is going to change. It's on that side of Ukraine, that eastern side that's right on the Russian border. That stuff's not changing, and don't expect it to.
Yeah, the area where the Ukrainians are going to get upset is their ports. And that's
understandable.
To me, that's where their negotiation is going to have to occur.
But, okay, let's talk about Crimea. Under Obama, did they get that back? Nope.
Nope.
Was there even an idea that was ever going back?
Nope.
I don't understand what the difference is. It sucks for them then, and it sucks for them now. But it ain't changing. You are not getting that land back. So stop killing people trying to prove me wrong.
Was it a lobotomy? Did all of America have a lobotomy over the summer?
No.
Everybody came around to our way of thinking that what I was saying and what you were saying for the better part of 2.5 years, suddenly Americans went, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. I think this is the result of strong leadership. I think Americans are gravitating towards that under Donald Trump.
Maybe even, because we didn't have it under Biden, and we've only had Trump for like a month and a half.
We didn't have any leadership.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
So they came to that realization on their own, and then when you do get a real leader in the White House, and he's saying the same thing that you are, that's why the numbers are trending in that direction. Because it wasn't like Joe Biden was saying, hey, you know what? This is let's look at this from a common sense perspective. They did everything but look at it from a common sense perspective. The American people recognize leadership, and they recognize right from wrong. They recognize when things are going to have to be negotiated, and they're not opposed to it. And the crazy thing is that people that want to say, well, I can't believe Donald Trump would negotiate with Putin. How do you end the war if you're not negotiating? And it didn't matter that Clinton negotiated, Bush negotiated, Obama negotiated. Remember, Bush had Putin on his property, driving him around in an F-250. Nobody was melting down. It's only because it's Donald Trump. 6 o'clock hour is brought to you by Subaru of Gwinnett on Extra 106.3. And when we come back, Trump is winning, and America knows it. Next on the Morning Extra, Tug and Los until 10.
If you love news and talk, you have to connect with the biggest personalities in the South at thepodcastpark.com. It's more original Atlanta content from Atlanta's hometown talk crew. From legal news to sports and politics, and even archives of interviews from years past. Find the podcast that you love and subscribe everywhere you get podcasts.
Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates, Inc., DBA Master Plan Retirement Consultants. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
Retirement means different things to different people. Some folks want to travel the world. Some folks want to spend more time with grandkids. For me, I'm looking forward to spending more time with my guitar. Whether extravagant and robust or simple and cozy, every retirement needs a plan. You wouldn't take a trip without directions. You have to know where you are before you know where you're going. Master Plan Retirement Consultants have helped many like you plan for their own retirement. Not only does Master Plan help you create the roadmap, they join you on the journey. So whether you want to travel the world, become a pickleball champ, or just looking for a good porch, a sturdy rocking chair, and an acoustic guitar, remember to plan well because the destination is worth it. Visit masterplanretire.com to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
Millions of guys suffer from erectile dysfunction. That's 1 in 3 men. And I can tell you, I'm one of them.
If you or someone you know suffers from ED, Peyronie's disease, or PE, here's 38-year emergency room doctor and founder of Total Body Therapy of Georgia, Dr. Eric Deal.
Patients who enter my office are often frustrated, hopeless, depressed, and embarrassed. I understand the problem, and I'm going to help you fix it. We provide testosterone replacement therapy, the P-shot, and treatment for ED, PE, and Peyronie's disease. There's not just one therapy that can solve these complex issues. When you visit our clinic, you're going to see me. I'll do a complete history and physical prior to any treatment that we use. Take it from me, Dr. Deal. When it's not hard, it's really hard.
Call Dr. Deal for your free one-on-one evaluation and resolve your ED, Peyronie's, or PE issues. 404-777-1911. Total Body Therapy of Georgia. 404-777-1911. Online at tbtofga.com.
You've heard me talk about Relief Factor and how many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it, including me. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free as well with their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. But Relief Factor is an easy, affordable way to see how it could literally change your life. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor doesn't just mask the pain temporarily. It reduces or eliminates pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Trying it couldn't be easier with their 3-week quick start for $19.95, less than $1 a day. Just takes one phone call, 1-800-4RELIEF, 1-800-4RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, every day you feel better is a day you live better. Try Relief Factor's 3-week quick start today. ReliefFactor.com. Call 1-800-4RELIEF, 1-800-4RELIEF.
Americold Logistics LLC, Atlanta, Georgia, and any unanticipated locations throughout the U.S. seeks a data analyst, job code AF0225. Assist Americold's business leaders in their decision-making process through generation and interpretation of data. Requires masters in business analytics, computer science, mathematics, statistics, or related field of study, and 1 year of experience in job or as a data or business analyst. $90,958,000 to $112,736 per year. Email resume to Barbara Bishop at barbara.bishop@americold.com.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. This hour is presented by Van Sant Law, vansantlaw.com.
It's the U.S. versus our neighbors to the north and south. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. New tariffs went into effect after midnight. 25% on goods coming here from Mexico and 25% on most Canadian imports, except for energy, which is at 10%. President Trump is also doubling tariffs on China from 10 to 20%. Why? He says to stop a deadly drug from coming in.
Vast amounts of fentanyl have poured into our country from Mexico. And as you know, also from China, where it goes to Mexico and goes to Canada.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau issuing a statement said Canada will respond with 25% tariffs against $155 billion of American goods, starting with tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods. Immediately, tariffs on the remaining $125 billion on American products will start over the next 21 days. That's going to be kind of a phase over, if you will. China is imposing additional tariffs on U.S. farm exports.
Fox Business Network, Cheryl Casone. Mexico may also retaliate. The U.S. is pausing all military aid to Ukraine in the battle against Russia's invasion.
I want one thing to happen. I want all of those young people to stop being killed.
A senior Trump administration official says this is in response to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's conduct last week, culminating in that spat with the president at the Oval Office on Friday. This U.S. official says the aid will be held back until the Ukrainians demonstrate a commitment to good faith peace negotiations.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. The president may talk about that war and tariffs and his entire agenda when he addresses the nation before a joint session of Congress tonight.
But Democrats likely won't be standing and cheering, as a number of members are planning to bring fired federal workers to the joint address as their guest in protest of recent layoffs under the Department of Government Efficiency.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz at the Capitol, where last night Senate Democrats blocked a House-passed bill aiming to bar transgender athletes from competing in women's sports. America's listening to Fox News.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. But don't just take our word for it. Here's Jackie and Veronica, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Just call or click to see how much you can save today. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit ConsumerCellular.com. That's 1-888-FREEDOM or ConsumerCellular.com today. Real people pay to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Look out, it's only me. It's only the Kimmer. You know, you can download the Kimmer podcast on the Extra 106.3 app, along with a ton of other great shows. Go get it, for crying out loud, now on Apple or Android.
404-741-1230 at Extra 106.3 across the social media platforms. This is the Morning Extra, Tug and Los until 10. The polling continues to show that Donald Trump is more popular than he ever has been before. And when things like what happened on Friday happens in the Oval Office, it gives him more gas, man. He has more authority given to him by the American people because they see Zelensky and they see the disrespect and they come down on the side of America, which is the side that I'm on and the side that you're on. I don't have a dog in the fight in Russia-Ukraine. I think both of them are bad. I think we've established that in the last segment and over the last 2 years. Trump's approval rating headed into this joint address of Congress tonight, which is similar to the State of the Union, has him trending in the best direction that he ever has been, outdoing his first term and even outdoing himself week after week here in America.
What was it last week where there was, I think it was Hakeem Jeffries who was talking about how Donald Trump and his numbers, and the studio analyst had to say, well, yeah, the polling is what it is, but he is more popular than at any point in his first presidency. It's like, sounds like he's more popular than at any point he's ever been. They just couldn't say it out loud. The accidental journalism occurred.
Yes, sir. Listen to this here.
So the Democrats are trying to figure a way to respond to the president's address to a joint meeting of Congress. They might be well served to consider the results of a new Harvard-Harris poll, which found 52% of people approve of Donald Trump, 58% think he's doing a better job than Biden, 81% approve of his deportation of illegal immigrants who've committed crimes, 76% approve of DOJ eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse, and 68% approve of his declaring there are only to be two genders, male and female. And the Democrat approval rating, according to this poll, is 36% compared to 51% for Republicans.
Which is why the Democrats don't have a voice. They don't have a message, because everything that they rally behind is the 20% that Los has brought up so many times. They're on the wrong side of history on every issue. And their donors, I read an article in The Hill yesterday, thehill.com, which is a leftist outlet. Their donors are closing their wallets and they're not opening them back up. And it happened right before the election when the donors realized that there was no chance Kamala Harris was winning. They kept feeding the donors, yes, she's got a shot. We just need that extra $1. We need that extra $2. We need that extra money. And she's going to get pushed across the finish line. And though the internal polling never showed it.
I don't understand the cult mindset because I've never had a cult mindset. I've always just kind of walked to the beat of my own drum. I do my own thing. Last night, when you saw what happened in the Senate, where you had a bill on the floor to keep men out of women's sports, and not one Democrat voted for it. Hold on a second. It seems kind of strange. I mean, if we're just acknowledging that there's two sexes. Now imagine that when you're on that side that strongly of an 80-20 issue where you're on the 20%, how can you have leadership eventually come forward? Because the only way you're going to end up finding a leader is they have to be talking about 20% topics on a regular basis for these people to say, yeah, that's the person to lead us. Anyone who speaks outside of the 20% that tries to center the message will not be electable under the current Democrat Party. And that's a great thing.
Yeah, it is for us. It's great for
awesome.
America.
That's why
they'll continue to get it wrong.
That's why they're no longer using a primary process.
Yeah, they're just hand selecting.
They're just hand selecting. There's no other way they can do this. They haven't used a primary process since what, 2015?
Sounds about
and
right.
And even then it was,
because,
well, all right, Hillary, it's your turn.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the thing. It's whose turn is it? It's not who do the people want. I'm not their people. It's not who their people want. They don't even care what their own people think, which is why their numbers are in the tank at 31%. You just heard them say. But that's the thing. 68% going to the thing you're just talking about, that vote. 68% of Americans they absolutely believe there's only two genders. Does that mean we want to denigrate anybody? No. I can be kind to someone and recognize where the line is. You know, I don't want a boy being able to just dismantle girls in girls' sports. And I know Los has a strong feeling about this because he has two daughters. I don't even have daughters, but I recognize what truth is.
67% of Democrat voters support keeping men out of women's sports. Yet
67. And that's Democrats.
Yet 100% of Democrat senators said, nope, not voting for it.
Don't care what you think. I don't care what you think. I know you're my voter, but I'm not here to represent you. I'm here to represent our party and our clearly misguided values.
They're actually doubling down
on stupid,
on madness.
Doubling down.
I love it.
Stupid.
Like, it's not a threat to us.
No, it's not.
I mean, we right now are in the era of common sense.
The golden age.
We are in the golden age. Trump's America is about common sense and us first. This is wonderful. And the more there is not some evil Death Star on the horizon of like, what happens when they have their own Barack Obama? They don't have one, nor would they support anyone. Remember, Barack Obama, during that era, actually campaigned and was against gay marriage. Do you imagine if they had somebody like that on the horizon and didn't play all the games of how important the alphabet soup is to their policy?
They might have a chance.
They would never be able to get through a primary.
Ever.
They would never be able to select them.
Yeah.
They don't have anyone that can center the message.
And don't have any desire to. That's the other thing, Los. They don't have a desire to center the message. Like you would think you know what's going wrong. It's clear. You and I can see it, and we're not even on their team. We can see what's happening. We can see what's going wrong. And if they were to come to us, we could help them figure out how to win. I'm not going. Obviously, they would never do that. and we wouldn't want to help them. But we can see it. How come they can't?
But
that's the question that everybody has to be asking.
There's a result of policy. Gavin Newsom, we can go back to early part of the summer when reparations hit his table in California, and he still had presidential aspirations for 2028. What did he do? He didn't sign it. He said, that's not going to work for California.
Yeah.
He centered the message. It was his plan. If I'm going to sign this, nationally, I'm done. So I'm not. The wildfires took care of him.
Right.
That was the end of that.
It pushed it out of the media.
At that point, it was, okay, policy, what he instituted did not work for California and got a large part of it destroyed. All right, so who's the next one? And maybe that's, Andrew Cuomo trying to, I'll center the message. Okay, good luck. Let's see which one of y'all can center the message. Is it Gretchen Whitmer?
Yeah.
No.
Who? Definitely not. And, it's crazy because both senators here in Georgia, and you probably already know this, both senators in Georgia voted against keeping boys out of girls' sports, keeping men out of women's sports. And Riley Gaines made it a point. She said, I will do everything I can to make sure that these Georgia senators change. I'm going to campaign. I'm going to raise money. And now people actually have a quote unquote, I don't mean a real target. They just have a target on them because now they're going to get primaried. Now they're going to be defeated. You know what I mean?
Well, Ossoff is out on the next election.
Because probably Brian Kemp will be the one.
That'll be an easy one to pick up.
Yes.
And then you will have a little bit more of a fight when you go up against Warnock.
But will you?
If things continue, if the trend line continues in the way it's going, no, then you're going to have two Republican senators
here. It seems like it's going to be an easier path because he's not changing the way he votes.
It's weird how much easier it is when you don't have rigged elections here in the state.
Well, there's that.
That's so strange.
Yeah, right. But there's that. But then there's the numbers on the Democrat side, not the Republican side, not the conservative side, the ones that Los just shared with you, from Democrats saying 67% of Democrats support protecting women's sports, yet Warnock, he voted for it or voted against it. He didn't want to protect it. So if you have your entire voting base voting against you, it seems like it's going to be an uphill battle for him, unless there's some sort of shenanigans.
What it comes down to is, will you have enough issues where Democrat voters just stay home? If you're not being represented,
why
continue to send these people back?
Yeah.
If you feel to the tune of nearly 70% of your party that we should codify men not being allowed to participate in women's sports, and yet 100% of your elected Democrat senators do not agree with you, why take part in the process?
Yeah. It's discouraging. It's going to probably plummet Democrat participation, and which again, I hate to be the guy that celebrates on dancing on somebody's grave, but this is good for us.
Just keep doing it. These are 80-20 issues.
Then you have,
in this case, this is a 70-30 on their end, and they still won't vote for it.
The voice that keeps being amplified the most, to the detriment of the Democrat Party, are people like Jasmine Crockett. She's a woman that just says the most outlandish things. She's a woman that just cannot get out of her own way, and I don't know that she even realizes it. I think probably Democrat voters realize it, and some Democrat politicians probably recognize it. People like Bill Maher probably recognize how bad this is for the party. But everybody else are like, yep, I'm with her.
Dallas County, Tarrant County. Come on, people. Let's take things up a notch. Especially Tarrant County. Tarrant County's Fort Worth. It is as country as cornbread. It's the town of the cow. How did a portion of you possibly give us Jasmine Crockett? How? All right. That all being said, Jasmine Crockett on CNN. And she decided to comment on what Trump is.
Unfortunately, we have someone that is occupying the White House, and as far as I'm concerned, he is an enemy to the United States. He swore an oath just like the rest of us. But right now, when you are literally putting us at risk because you want to convince your followers that you should be a dictator too, that you should never leave the White House because you don't believe that elections should take place, I don't really understand what is going on, and I don't know what it's going to take to get people to wake up.
Please, to all the political gods, to every one of you out there, yes, I'd like to see Tarrant County do better, but for the time being, Jasmine Crockett is gold for us.
She is a gift. She's the Jelly of the Month Club.
She keeps on giving because it's the pure insanity. And to think there's actually a part of her party that thinks, we got to fight fire with fire. Donald Trump uses rhetoric. Well, Jasmine Crockett will use rhetoric. Donald Trump argues for the saneness of America. He talks about common sense issues, and he's doing it in a highly intelligent fashion. Just because the other side can't keep up doesn't mean that what he's saying is wrong. Jasmine Crockett busy saying he wants to get rid of elections. He's participated in 3 of them. What are you talking about?
From the party that doesn't believe in elections. It's doing exactly what you're blaming them of, or accusing them
Your
of.
last person that you put up for president of the United States didn't receive 1 primary vote.
Zero. And you're out there saying that Trump doesn't believe in elections.
You could have gone to the DNC convention and had you would have had a debate on the floor and an election on the floor, and you would have selected somebody to nominate, and you didn't even do that.
At least you could respect that if that were the case. If they had the courage to do that, you could have at least respected the Democrat Party. I don't even know that I respect them anymore. The DNC, I don't have any respect for the DNC. Are there people in the party that I'm sure care and want to do right? If they are, they're awful quiet.
They can't get out of their own way.
They cannot get out of their own way. Bill Maher is the only one that I've heard lately that makes any sense on the issue, the one that we've been talking about, protecting women's sports. He said in a podcast recently, I think it was probably last weekend, a weekend before maybe, where he said, if you continue to focus on the bathroom instead of the classroom, you're never winning again.
He talked about it on his show a couple of weeks ago when he had a couple of Democrat analysts, and he talked about hills you don't want to die on. And all he was pointing out was, right now the Democrats are in a position where they're doing nothing but standing on hills that you don't want to die on. They're not in the area. Like right now, what is their big push? Well, the Republicans are going to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. You've already been told and shown they're not touching any of it. Now, will Doge look for fraud?
Fraud there?
Yeah.
As you should. And the American people support that.
And now, here was an interesting thing that happened yesterday. So, my wife kind of was, looking over my shoulder. We were talking about a couple of things, and I was making a point about some Doge cuts. And she had heard what she heard. Of course, in her echo chamber, it's, well, they're cutting all these things that are essential. And I actually pulled up the website, and I pulled up the reports of here's what Doge is cutting. And then I told her about the $18 million per month that one housing facility in Texas was dealing with. Yeah. And the look on her face was, well, that's silly. Who's getting the money? And so when it gets laid out in front of you, suddenly that hill that people want to die on, that they'll cut this and that. Once that fades away, now it just makes logical sense. She's actually just reading through these Doge cuts and going, are you serious? We were spending money in China.
But that's the thing, Los, is you have to...
On LGBTQ issues?
Yeah, you have to strip away the emotion, strip away the echo chamber, and then just look at it for what it is. But most people, most Democrats, cannot do that. Aunt Peg being one of them. I love her. She can't look away. She's told whatever she's told to think, she is going to think, and then she's going to parrot it on her Facebook page. I hit the 30-day snooze on my own Aunt Peg. So I wouldn't have to see it anymore because it's so irritating.
The Environmental Protection Agency, right? It's about the environment, right?
Yeah, of course.
Hey, clean water, clean air. It's what we're doing.
We all want that.
They were spending $45 million on DEI initiatives.
What does that have to do exactly with clean air or water?
I don't really believe it has much of anything to do with that.
Seems odd that they'd be spending that money then.
General Services Administration, the GSA, $68 million in DEI initiatives. This is just a place to hide money.
And launder it back and get it to NGOs and then ultimately get it back to Democrat politicians.
And that was the moment when my wife was going, wow, this is all rigged. It's like, thank you.
She's got hope, man.
There's a possibility. I'm not saying she's ever going to vote in the way that I do, but when you start to lay out information in front of people outside of Aunt Peg,
yes,
they are shocked.
She can't.
By the amount of waste, fraud, and abuse there is.
And there's plenty of them, like my Aunt Peg, that are just lost causes. Like, I love the fact there's a glimmer of hope for you. Everything else is a lost cause, at least for my family.
I'm sorry.
What sucks, dude, it does. I can't even have a civil conversation about anything. If it even borders politics, it is full meltdown. So I just avoid it. I just don't even.
What you need to tell her is just say, listen here, Aunt Peg.
Anytime you start out with listen here, it's going to go well.
In Trump's America, we're just telling you need to calm down.
That's right.
Tell a woman to calm down. See how that? Try that out tonight, Jerry. Just tell a woman to calm down.
You know, always.
Saying in Trump's America, I'm telling you to calm down.
I'm not as dumb as I look. In Trump's America, I'm able to tell you to calm down.
In Trump's America, I'm just letting you know you need to calm down.
It'll go well. Try it. And please call tomorrow and share the results.
In Trump's America, I need you to lower your voice.
When we come back on Extra
Morning Extra.
Uh-oh.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. We got folks calling in at 404-741-1230. If you want to jump in, you can jump into the conversation, too. We got Neil Bortz, the talk master, the legendary voice of Neil Bortz, the only place you can hear it on Extra. And he's next on Extra 106.3.
The Kimmer Show is only live on Extra 106.3 every weekday afternoon on your drive home. By the way, the only music I want to hear when you think about the Air Force is Ride to the Valkyries played on loudspeakers attached to attack helicopters.
Dun, 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 dun. I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
By the way, that is a very distinctive odor.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Hi, my name is Steve from Marietta, and we hired ATL Turf Co. to build our dream backyard golf setup. They installed a large 4-hole putting green, a sand bunker, a short game area, and did a full conversion to artificial grass around the pool with decorative retaining walls. ATL Turf Co. was really creative. They were efficient. The installation was a breeze. Price was completely reasonable, and I definitely appreciated their communication throughout the project. I would definitely recommend ATL Turf Co. to anybody thinking about doing a backyard makeover. You can check them out online right now at atlturfco.com.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
It's March 4th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. It's National Hug a GI Day. Those who serve and have served this nation in the armed forces deserve our support. The term GI used to refer to Army personnel, but over time it now encompasses all members of the military. So take a moment out of your day to give a pat on the back or shake the hand of someone who has served. Let them know their sacrifice does not go unnoticed. Also on this date, in 1789, the first U.S. Congress meets under the new Constitution in New York City's Federal Hall. And in 1989, the Louvre Pyramids by artist I.M. Pei are inaugurated by French President Francois Mitterrand. The structures can be found in the courtyard of the museum. If it's your birthday today, you share it with Baroque composer Antonio Vivaldi, born in 1678, and actress Catherine O'Hara, born in 1954. I'm Tushar Saxena, and that's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
I'm Chad Pergram with the Speaker's Lobby. Beware the Ides of March, wrote Shakespeare, and truly beware the Ides of March in Washington. That's because the government could run out of money and shut down at the end of the day on March 14th. The first day of a government shutdown would be March 15th, the Ides of March. Republicans control both the House and Senate now. House Republicans have not attempted to advance any spending bills since the new Congress started, even though they passed several last year. And there's not been any attempt by Senate Majority Leader John Thune to put any bills on the floor either. together, despite Republicans carping at Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer for failing to advance those bills when Democrats were in charge last year. Plus, there's a new dynamic. President Trump has a history of inserting himself into these debates at the very last minute or changing his mind. And don't rule out the influence of Elon Musk. Musk essentially torpedoed a spending accord crafted late last year by House Speaker Mike Johnson before Christmas. The objections of Musk forced Johnson to slim down the bill at the very last minute. With the Speaker's lobby, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Tuesday, March 4th. Fort Moore is undergoing another name change. U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth signed a memorandum Monday that reverts the name of the Army base to Fort Benning. The name change pays tribute to Corporal Fred G. Benning, who was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross for his actions in World War I. A resolution to legalize sports betting in Georgia goes up for vote in the House this week. The bill's sponsor, Representative Marcus Wiedauer, says regulating online sports betting could generate $150 million for Georgia pre-K. If passed, the legislation will allow Georgians to vote on legalized sports betting in 2026. Another windy day today with highs in the low 70s and storms moving in overnight. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
Tug and Los on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. We got Neil Bortz, the Talkmaster, ready in the bullpen, warming up, been listening to the show as he normally does. Neil, did we go wrong anywhere in the discussions that we've had so far that you have been able to listen to?
Well, no, but you've missed some very important stories.
Okay.
Oh, please.
Yeah, bring them in.
Well, like Luke Herbert.
Luke Herbert. Okay, tell me about Luke.
He's from Ogden, I guess. Anyway, he just won a scholarship to Winthrop University in South Carolina.
Well, that's great news.
He is going to be on the cornhole team.
Oh, well, look. Hey, so is that a varsity sport? I suppose it has to be for scholarships are awarded because of it.
Yeah, it says in the story that after the cornhole has been a passion for him and his dad.
Okay. Over in Rock Hill University, going to take his skills to Winthrop.
Yeah, Winthrop, South Carolina.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what level do they play at? Is that like Division I school? I know it's obviously a four-year school.
I don't know, but I'll tell you this. When I was going to Texas A&M, if I ever proposed a game of cornhole...
Yes.
Let's just say it would not have been pretty.
Yeah, I think maybe.
What the hell is matter with people?
You just call it bing bag toss if it makes you feel better.
Toss bags. Sounds better.
Yeah, it does a little bit.
Let's toss bags.
Yeah. And I just looked it up.
Yeah,
Winthrop is Division I, so he'll be tossing bags or playing cornhole, whatever you choose to call it, at the D1 level in the Big South Conference. How about that at Winthrop?
Tell me, when you're learning, when you get to the college level, does the hole get smaller?
I'm not certain. Probably not, I would imagine.
Oh, you guys. Jasmine Crockett.
Jasmine Crockett.
Yes. What do you want to say about her? Because
when you listen to her talk without ever seeing her, without knowing anything about her, automatically that she is a congresswoman from an urban area of America.
And it's disappointing because part of that's Tarrant County, and Fort Worth typically doesn't deliver this sort of stuff to us, Neil, but it has delivered Jasmine Crockett.
It's got to be. I like Fort Worth. I like Fort Worth a hell of a lot better than I like Dallas.
Absolutely.
And as a matter of fact, we have a Prevost Bortz bus. We have a rally in Fort Worth next year. We're going to be there at the whatever it is, the Dickey Arena. Hey, listen,
wait a minute.
Tell D Squared about that. Yeah,
I will.
But anyway, I want to correct something about Jasmine Crockett right now. If anybody looks her up, you're going to see that she went to Rhodes College. Sooner or later, she's going to claim to be a Rhodes Scholar.
Okay.
Yeah, the Rhodes College she went to is in Memphis, Tennessee, with 2,000 students. And it scores below average on the ACT, whatever that is.
That's just one of those standardized tests like the SAT. Is, some colleges still. Are you sure? Are you just you pulling my leg? You know what that means. You know what the ACT is.
About what?
What about knowing what the ACT? You know what that is, though, right? The standardized test?
No, I really don't, because hey, listen. Now, when I was going to high school in Pensacola, this is the truth, and a lot of people that really know me will say, "Well, I suspected that about you anyway, Bortz." There was a statewide college entrance examination back in those days, but I came out of Pensacola High School with below a C average.
Mm-hmm.
Below a C average. And it was only through my score on a college entrance exam that I ever got accepted into a college at Texas A&M. But I was so bored in school.
Were you just smarter than everybody else? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I was bored. The only thing that interested in me was the speech class and debate.
Okay, yeah. So the things that you enjoyed, you were really good at, and everything else, you just couldn't care less and didn't pay attention much.
No, absolutely.
I think that's a boy thing, though, don't you? Like boys, I think boys go through that more than girls. When it comes to education, because my son's the same way.
Obviously, the girls pay more attention down in the grade high school, college level. It's only when they get out of college that everything falls apart. And by the way, the AJC, I've been wanting to do a commentary on this, but I haven't. I mean, this morning's commentary is... you're just going to have to wait for it. The Democrats are saying a car is going to cost maybe $4,000 more.
Because of the tariffs, right?
And I said, good. I mean, people don't realize it, but that's a good thing.
Because so many people waste so much money buying new cars when they shouldn't be doing that. They should be focused on other things. Now, I believe in free will. I believe in free will, but I understand the logic. I know where you're coming from because I agree with you. We don't ever want to buy a new car. It's the worst investment you could possibly make.
Ever.
Well, it is. And you go out and you buy a new car. You buy a new car from a dealer. Boy, there's some things. You think I get upset over drug ads.
Uh-oh.
And by the way, with TV drug ads, there would what the hell's the deal with all these people just marching through town like they're on the way to a riot? But anyway, these car dealers, one of my favorites is all credit applications accepted. Oh, what the hell does that mean?
Means you're going to get a 30% interest rate.
That's right. Like you just bought it outside of a Navy base somewhere.
Yeah, well, wait a minute. You said my credit application was accepted. Yeah, we accepted your application, but then we rejected it. And then the other one is, we'll pay off your old car no matter what you owe.
And then add it to your new loan.
Yeah, right. And then we'll take the difference and we'll add it to your new car loan. And I mean, these people cheat their kids and their family out of years and years of the benefits that could be derived from the hideous car payments. You could buy a used car, take those car payments, put it in an investment account, and your kid is going to the real roads college.
Yeah.
I mean, so if I don't care if new cars cost $10,000 more, it's a good thing for American families. Go out and find a good used car, pay for it in cash or as quickly as you can, and stop this stupid nonsense of having to have a new car. I thought about it this morning. In the last, I have purchased one new car in the last 30 years. One. And actually, I didn't buy it. My wife did for my birthday.
I'll give you the life hack, Neil. If you search fleet vehicle, you will find a used car oftentimes with no more than, let's say, 3,000 to 5,000 miles on them, well taken care of. That's the one that you get. And immediately, the depreciation, you don't even have to worry about it.
Well, let's see. My wife is driving a Lincoln SUV. Where did we buy it from? It's an old rental car.
Mm-hmm.
A rental car.
It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, rental car, exactly.
Yeah, you just let somebody else take that kick. Now, one thing, oh gosh, what's it going to take for the voters to wake up? I mean, not one single Democrat could bring themselves to vote for the idea that men should not compete in women's sports.
But Neil, the voters have woken up. They are awake to it. The Democrat Party hasn't.
Yeah, the Democrat Party. I mean, do you think the voters will recognize or remember this at the midterm elections? I don't know. Voters have I don't know whether I give them credit for a good memory or a really sick one. But not one single Senate Democrat said, you know what, this is right. Men should not compete in women's sports. Now, I've said many times that all of us are going to have to hurt. It's going to be pain for all of us to get this country back online after the
We talk about it here all the time, Neil. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that people are going to have to hurt may be women athletes. And it may take women athletes in college and elsewhere to say, that's it, we're not competing anymore. Let the men have the entire sports world.
You're seeing that happen, Los, and you've probably seen it more than anybody keeping up the way you do.
But that was the challenge that the Biden administration had that eventually got taken out in the courts when it came to Title IX. If Title IX is respected, this stuff goes away. But that is why the Democrats are trying to denigrate Title IX so that they can have this weird faction of men that believe that they're women competing against women. And Neil, we looked at the numbers. 67% of Democrat voters also agree that men should not be competing against women, but yet, as you pointed out, 100% of their senators voted against it.
I know it. And listen, it's unexplainable. And then another thing I was going to do a commentary on, but bless my heart, I lost the article. Maybe one of you ace researchers can find it. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution, earlier, maybe it was the end of last week, they had a big article about how tough it is for families now to raise children in the current economic crisis, especially single moms. And, and they blamed it on everything in the world except the true cause. And, well, let's go back to Sam Kinison. I miss Sam Kinison. You remember his thing about you remember his thing about let's stop sending food to these
food don't grow in the desert. It's sand. It's always going to be sand. Go to where the food is.
Well, send them luggage. Move. There's no food where you live. But anyway, that kind of applies to this sob story about all the trouble that these families are having raising their children in these tough economic times. Stop having children you can't afford to raise. Yeah. How hard is that?
Yeah,
if you can't
just be responsible.
To raise them.
Yeah, be responsible.
And so Sam Kinison could do a bit on that, but the people in this country, I think, well, honey, do you want to have a child? Well, we can't afford a child. We don't have to worry about that. Other people will pay for it. All we have to do is have sex.
Yes, right. And it sounds like the European Union a little bit, too, and NATO and all those people. We talked about it earlier this morning, Neil, where the Europeans want more money to be sent to Ukraine, but they don't want to send it. That in the polling, that's what it showed. Every country in Europe wants to send more and more to Ukraine, but none of them want to actually send the money themselves. They're waiting for somebody else to do it. And in this case, it would be the Americans. And with the example you're bringing, it's going to be the American public again. Tax dollars and welfare programs.
The first time I heard this, I said, now, come on, that can't be true. But I have yet to run into an article or a news source that contradicts it. It really does seem like somebody over there in Ukraine is taking this American aid and weapons and what have you and selling them at about 20% of their value.
Yeah. You talking about on the black market?
Yeah.
Yeah, we know that's showing up. Some of those weapons.
Not so much, maybe not so much on the black market, but wide open, right out there in front of God and all those people.
Well, maybe that too, but we know that some of the weapons, at least that were left behind in Afghanistan, are showing up in Mexico.
Jeez.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, all the money it's all being laundered.
Everything we send over there finds its way to cartels or the highest bidder.
They are the most corrupt in the world. I mean, and Democrats are like, yes, we want to send them more money.
It's almost like I let my neighbor, I let him borrow my car, and the next day I find out he sold it to somebody down the street.
That's right.
Well, now, wait a minute. You cannot tell me that Ukraine is more corrupt than Venezuela.
I'll say in Europe, I'm going to use that one. In Europe, they are the most corrupt country. Venezuela, it's its own thing.
Can it be a toss-up?
And now, of course, the media is talking, we're going to have the government is going to shut down. Why can't the media treat that on, well, what a stupid question, Bortz. Why can't the media treat that honestly? There has never been and there will not be a government shutdown.
Right.
It is only a shutdown of non-essential services.
Which, Bortz, that tells me they're going to be easier to find all the fraud, waste, and abuse, the things that we don't need, because the non-essential stuff won't be working. Be like, okay, we don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that.
But in the meantime, most of these by the way, did you hear what Chuck Todd said on that podcast about Joe Biden?
Yes, that he was furious, that he didn't step down, that he didn't step aside. No, I don't know if I can find it again quickly on my computer, but look it up. He was on some podcast, Chuck Todd was, and he was basically saying, I am sick to absolute death of hearing what a great family guy Joe Biden was. He was not a great family man. He was a hideous family man. You know, virtually every one of his kids got involved with drugs. Some of their wives got involved with drugs. Stop this nonsense about Biden being a great family man. The only thing he was dedicated to was running for president, and he ran for president in every single election for which he was eligible from the time he got into the Senate. That's Chuck Todd? I wouldn't have expected that out of Chuck Todd.
Well, they're all saying it now on their way out, Neil. That's the interesting part, that they spent their time in the media making the money that they were, and I get it. It's part of the job. But they are now, as they're all getting away, recognizing, man, I could probably make a nice bit of money here if I tell people the truth about what was going on in the Biden administration.
Yeah, I mean, and have we heard anything from Biden in the last month?
Not a word.
No, he's asleep somewhere. I mean, he's not able. He's not capable. He wasn't capable then.
Jill hasn't said anything, so we haven't heard anything.
Yes, that's right. That podcast, by the way, was The Warning with Steve Schmidt, the podcast. Chuck Todd also talked about how he was furious that Biden ran, but yes, the family part was the part that raised the most eyebrows. Because where were you? It's easy to do it now after the fact. Where were you when it mattered?
Why couldn't Chuck Biden? Why couldn't Chuck Todd say some of this stuff when he was back hosting all these big time TV shows?
That's right, Neil. But and Los and I've talked about that a whole bunch. Like, it's so easy to do it when it doesn't matter. It's so easy to do it then. Why don't you have that same bravery, knowing what's best for the American people, knowing honesty is what's going to help America most of all, and you don't have the courage to do it when it matters. You can only do it when it doesn't.
Oh boy, I mean, all of this discussion. Why can't the media be honest about this so-called government shutdown stuff?
Yeah, there's never going to do it, man. They know where their bread is buttered. That's the only thing that we can come up with. They know how to get paid, and they know how to push a narrative, and they all agree with the narrative. That's the problem. I think that's probably the biggest problem.
Yeah, it's like I always say, you got to know which side of the fence your bread is buttered on.
And they do.
And I'm really hopeful, Neil, that as we get, because these things come around so quickly, as we get into the midterms, I hope the Democrats as a whole recognize, as their voting group, recognize what their leadership has done, and for the most part, their voters act like purple loofahs.
Maybe, but I mean, what percentage of voters in this country do you believe base their vote almost entirely on what they can get from the government?
I'd imagine a large amount. A lot of it's tied to your wallet.
Yep.
Well, there is no right to vote in the Constitution.
That's right. It's a state issue.
Yeah. There is no right to vote, and I think that America would be healthier if we would recognize that there is no right to vote, and then start working on ways to limit the people who get to set the course of this country. You can live here, you can take advantage of the rights, take advantage of the benefits, but you're not going to get out there and make these decisions that affect the future of this country without showing that you have at least some basic qualifications. And one of them should be that you're not a net tax consumer, that you don't get out there and live off of government transfers.
Yes, sir.
Any money you get from the government, you earn.
That's right. No, I think that's logic. That's common sense, and maybe we'll get back there.
And then who was it? Who was it that said they got in trouble yesterday for saying that Social Security is a Ponzi scheme?
I don't know. We say it all the time.
Elon Musk is the one. Yeah, Elon brought it up.
It perfectly fits
Absolutely
the definition of a Ponzi scheme.
Absolutely right. That's the thing.
And if the American people knew what Galveston County, Texas, by the way, I'm going to be there in a month. Okay. Alert the media. Okay. If the American people knew what Galveston County, Texas did in 1983 when they took all of their government workers in Galveston, Texas, took them off of Social Security, kept the taxes exactly where they were, but established a private account for every county worker, every one of them, and invested those Social Security funds for them. Do you know the death benefit, and I haven't checked on it lately because I haven't been dead lately, the death benefit that you get under Social Security is something like $250, something like that. In Galveston County, Texas, the death benefit was double. It was 5 digits. I mean, these people were getting $15,000, $20,000 death benefits. They owned their social accounts. Their accounts couldn't be taken away from them, and they, in many cases, were retiring with higher retirement checks than they were earning when they were working, all because they privatized it in Galveston. And the Democrats in Washington became so petrified, their pucker factor went in the minus numbers. They were so petrified over this that they passed a law said, okay, that's it. Nobody else can get out of Social Security.
Yeah. Well,
and if the American people, if they knew this, and if the media, if somebody would come forward and say, well, maybe it is a Ponzi scheme. Look what Galveston, Texas did. Then maybe we could get some reforms made. I don't know who's a bigger enemy of this country, the Chinese, the Russians, Kim Jong-puke, or the American media.
They're all bad. I know that for sure. Neil Bortz, the talk master. Thank you so much. They're so afraid.
Oh, you're dumping me now.
Well, we're just up on top of the break. We got no other choice, Neil.
We've run out of time.
No, I got a golf lesson.
Okay. Well, you don't want to hang out with us anyway if you're going to the golf course.
Yeah, I pretty much had enough.
See you next week, Neil.
Neil Bortz, the talk master.
Maybe a good game of cornhole later.
Oh. I'm not sure what that means.
I'm going to be playing bags.
I don't know if I know what that means, Neil. Extra 106.3.
Yeah, you do. Okay.
All right, when we continue, Scott Jennings and the poll numbers. The beacon of hope at CNN is telling the truth, even though they don't want to hear it. Next on Extra 106.3.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Tuesday, March 4th. The Atlanta Hawks got a last-second buzzer beater in Memphis for the win to beat the Grizzlies 132-130. Karis LeVert scores a game winner with no time left on the clock after a steal by Dyson Daniels. The Hawks are now 28-33 on the season. From the NFL, the deadline for franchise tagging players is quickly approaching. The Minnesota Vikings are reportedly unlikely to tag quarterback Sam Darnold after the Vikings are looking to re-sign the quarterback. Darnold was 14-3 as a starter last season. And from Braves spring training, the Braves are in action this afternoon from Northport as they host the Minnesota Twins this afternoon. First pitch is set for 1:05. You can hear that game on our sister station with their app, 680 The Fan.
Hey, homeowners, it's Flounder, and I'm here to keep you warm. Well, I won't, but my friends at Dobbs Heating and Air will. As a new homeowner myself, I prefer working with local, family-owned companies who value what matters to me and treats my home like it's their own. The Dobbs family have a passion for what they do, and taking care of people is their primary goal. So if your home needs help staying warm right now, call Dobbs Heating and Air and experience the Dobbs difference. And check them out online at dobbshvac.com.
Don't miss the first MLB All-Star Week event at Truist Park as talent meets tradition in the third annual HBCU Swingman Classic presented by T-Mobile and powered by the MLBPA Youth Development Foundation. Join fans, athletes, and alumni to watch Hall of Famer Ken Griffey Jr. shine a light on 50 of the best young ball players from HBCUs around the country on baseball's biggest stage, July 11th at 7 p.m. Get your tickets today at allstargame.com/swingman.
Hey there, I'm Tara, owner and publisher of Our Town Monthly, Cobb's favorite family lifestyle magazine. Partnering with our community and local businesses is what we love to do. Check out what's happening at the Avenue West Cobb.
Hey everyone, I'm Alondra. The Avenue West Cobb is just a short drive from Atlanta. Discover the dynamic mix of premium national brands like J. Jill and J. Crew, plus unique local realtors and delicious restaurants, including Lizzie and Jim and Nick's. And don't forget our exciting events. Our bunny photos and our annual spring festival is just around the corner, and Puppy Fun at Paul's Fest is this summer. The Avenue is a vibrant destination with entertainment for the whole family. For the latest details, please visit us at theavenuewestcobb.com.
Sounds amazing. Friends, I'll see you at the Avenue West Cobb. Remember, our town is your town at Our Town Monthly.
Convenience is defined as the state of being able to proceed with something with little effort or difficulty. Well, at RBM of Atlanta, we embody this philosophy. Meet our Mercedes-Benz pickup and delivery service. It gives you back time and money. Does your Mercedes-Benz need service? If so, we'll pick up your vehicle that's requiring service from your home or office and bring it back to our dealership for the required service. With over 100 appointments available every weekday, over 50 appointments on Saturdays, and more than 200 courtesy vehicles in our fleet, we're here to serve. We'll work around your schedule. We're here to save you time, energy, and money. RBM of Atlanta is a J.D. Power 2023 Diamond Dealer of Excellence for the customer sales experience and Georgia's only 9-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best winner. We're proud to be Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964. Pickup and delivery service restrictions do apply. Ask your service coordinator or service advisor for details. Join A Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Madelon and host Tug Coward for the weekly radio show Back Your Blue. They will highlight special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. This week's guest is Lou Kuhn, founder of Stop Suicide USA. Tune in on Saturdays or catch up on all past episodes wherever you get your podcasts or at the podcastpark.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
The Morning Extra has you covered until 10 a.m. Then it's Glenn Beck, Clay Travis, and Buck Sexton at noon, and The Kimmer Show taking over at 3, only on Extra 106.3.
The Democrats are anti-woman. We've established that. They're anti-education because we've established that. Now they're anti-immigration, too. You have Representative Nadia Vasquez from New York asking Elon Musk, what the hell are you doing in America? Go back to South Africa. So they're anti all of those things and pro-war, pro-abortion, pro-big government.
But I thought you weren't supposed to tell people to go back to wherever they're from.
Well, you're right.
I mean, being that, Elon Musk is an American citizen.
Right. She doesn't know that.
Might have to miss out on that one.
She has no idea. But that's the thing. They're wrong on every issue. They've got pro-war, pro-abortion, pro-big government. I don't know how they expect to win ever again.
I do believe that if you had regular access to congressmen, or if you got a chance to sit down with a congressman and just said, all right, who knows what they're talking about, who doesn't? The inside baseball is fascinating because there are people that are pretty plugged in. They know what's going on in the world. Then there are some that will tell you, oh, that person just has to live and die by whatever their staff tells them and that they're not very smart.
And we had Buddy Carter on talking, man. He'll be back later at the end of the month to sit in with us for an hour and just talk about issues that are happening. But he told us in the gym, even the people that say things out loud on networks like CNN, MSNBC, when they're in the privacy of their of the gym, working out with other congressmen, they're honest.
They know who's plugged in and who isn't.
That's right. They're honest, and they can have a discussion, a normal conversation that wouldn't happen in the open. And I'm like, why don't they take that conversation outside so the American people can actually benefit from debate?
Because leadership
discussion.
tells them,
right?
Here's what you can and can't.
Which is what Buddy has told us as well.
Yeah, that's always going to be the challenge. Is that as we have talked about. As we talked about last segment when it was with Neil Boortz and the Ponzi scheme and Elon Musk calling that with Social Security, both sides make it a point. You do not discuss any cuts of Social Security ever.
Buddy Carter said it on this show. Leadership told us we are not to discuss it. And that's why we always bring it up with them, because we want to.
Anybody able to talk about this yet?
Yeah, we want to make them discuss it because it's worth talking about. We all know we can't continue down the path that we're on, which is why the Doge cuts are so popular, why the Doge conversation is a winner for Donald Trump on both sides of the aisle. Even Democrats recognize, yeah, we should probably not have all this fraud, waste, and abuse. We'll play it a little later in the show. Bernie Sanders was asked this. Specifically, he was asked, Lowe's, should maybe the Democrats take a look at this in the last 4 years as fraud, waste, and abuse? And he was like, well, Trump was president before Biden. Well, Trump is the answer.
Well, Trump. It's always what it goes to. Now, let's talk about Scott Jennings on CNN. A man after my own heart, because all he does is, and I think about the other people who've done this well, like Juan Williams on Fox, Bob Beckel. Oftentimes they would have to fire off crazy stuff. Take a listen to Scott Jennings, how he addresses poll numbers with Trump.
I think his job approval overall is actually pretty good when you look at where Joe Biden left office and you look at where congressional Democrats are. In the Quinnipiac survey last week, they were sitting at 21% approval. So as a matter of public opinion, Donald Trump is more popular than any Democrat in the country right now. On his priorities, I do think he needs to focus in this speech on exactly what his executive orders did on the economy and what he is doing with that Congress on this reconciliation bill. You know, they've not really passed his one big beautiful bill yet, which is going to contain all of his legislative priorities, from extending the tax cuts to major changes in our national energy policy, which I think is actually the fastest way he can bring down prices. So I am expecting a big portion of this speech to be telling those Republicans, you got to come with me and we've got to pass this agenda together. One other thing, immigration is going quite well for Donald Trump. His taking office has effectively closed the border. I'd also expect him to focus on that major success. I mean, we're having barely any border encounters at all now because people are not coming here because we have a new president who's quite serious about eliminating illegal immigration.
When you start off why he's more popular than any Democrat in the country, no one else can say anything as he lays out his argument from there.
Where did I begin? The Democrats are anti-woman. They've proven it. They're anti-immigration. Go back to South Africa. And they're anti-education. They don't want parents to have the right to choose where their kids go to school, successful school or a failing school. And they're in favor of pro-war, pro-abortion, and big government. That's why Scott Jennings hit the nail on the head. This is the Morning Extra. 7 o'clock hour is brought to you by Van Sant Law Group. If you're in an accident, make the right call. VanSantLaw.com. I'll show you what unhinged sounds like next, and you'll recognize it right off. This is the Morning Extra.
Time for the Boortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
Years ago, some guy bought a bank on Roswell Road. Complete with the safe, he came up with an idea. I'm going to let people rent a safe deposit box using only numbers. They'll be identified by a number. They come in, they give me the number, they give me the code, they get access to the box. No names. How long do you think that lasted? Not long. Federal government shut them down. In the same vein, I encountered something yesterday that steamed my berries pretty good. For well over 15 years in Naples, we've been using a UPS store to receive our mail. We don't necessarily want the people sending us mail to know where we live. So today, we're notified by the UPS store that According to federal government regulations, we have to come in and sign paperwork that notifies the government of the actual residence address of everybody that rents a box there. You have to present a picture ID, driver's license, passport, something like that, plus you also have to provide a secondary piece of information, a mortgage, an automobile registration, some other official documentation that verifies your home address. If you don't do this, then they are going to cancel your box and you won't be able to receive mail there anymore. What is this? It's all an attempt by the federal government to make damn sure that you can't receive a piece of mail or a package at this UPS store without the government being able to track it right to your home. This is not the type of government that was envisioned by our founding fathers, and not the type of government that I eagerly approve of. Hey, government, get the hell out of my face, please. This is a bit much. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
For half a century, glyphosate has affordably and effectively protected Georgia farmers' crops from invasive weeds. Without it, the impact would be felt beyond the fields, hitting Americans where it hurts, our wallets. That's why the Modern Ag Alliance advocates for farmers continued access to essential crop protection tools so food prices don't rise even more. Get the facts at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Georgia farmers.
No more for now. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The U.S. is putting military aid to Ukraine on hold. Days after President Trump's contentious meeting with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, who says a deal to end Russia's war is far away.
I just think he should be more appreciative because this country has stuck with them through thick and thin.
The U.S. has provided Ukraine with billions of dollars in weapons and missiles and military equipment since Russia invaded. We'll hear from the president on that war tonight and much more. In an address to a joint session of Congress, the White House says his theme is the renewal of the American dream.
He's going to talk about his second-term accomplishments, the economy. Border security will get a high priority, as well as the president's peace plans. Several Democratic lawmakers say they plan to bring federal workers impacted by the DOJ layoffs. The Democratic response will be delivered, we are told, by Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan.
Fox's Kevin Corke. You can listen to live coverage of the Trump address beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern on FoxNewsRadio.com and get Fox coverage on your station. The president may also talk tariffs tonight after imposing new ones after midnight.
President Trump says Canada and Mexico have not done enough to stop the flow of fentanyl into the U.S. So long promised tariffs of 25% on imports from those two countries hit today. The president also imposed additional 10% tariffs on all goods from China on top of tariffs previously put in place.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. China is retaliating, targeting American farm exports. Canada also responding with tariffs on more than $100 billion of American goods. And Mexico's threatened to retaliate, too, leading to fears of more inflation and higher consumer prices for Americans. Now to the Senate.
The yeas are 51, the nays are 45. The nomination is confirmed.
Approving Linda McMahon as Education Secretary, leading a department that President Trump wants to eliminate. He wants the states to deal with school policy instead, but Democrats oppose that, getting rid of that federal bureaucracy, saying it'll hurt programs for students like special education. America's listening to Fox News.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. But don't just take our word for it. Here's Jackie and Veronica, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Just call or click to see how much you can save today. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit ConsumerCellular.com. That's 1-888-FREEDOM or ConsumerCellular.com today. Real people paid to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
No need for traffic updates. We always steer you right. It's the Morning Extra on 106.3.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra. Alexander Vindman If that name sounds familiar to you, he is part of a think tank called the Informed American Leadership, which, of course, is left-leaning or leftist. But the thing you may not know about him, he's a retired United States Army lieutenant colonel who was the director of European affairs for the United States National Security Council until he was reassigned in 2020. That's when he
found out what he was on to, what he was up to.
That's right. But then I didn't realize this until I was looking him up last night. He was born in Kiev. I had no idea about this. I don't know how I looked over it. I don't know how I knew it. But then all of a sudden things started making a little more sense. Not only is he a leftist, he is a guy that has obviously connections, deep connections to Ukraine. So his worldview is going to be different. His worldview is going to be a little skewed, just like I am about the state of Georgia, right? When people start doing things that I don't like here in the state of Georgia, too many out-of-state tags start showing up, I get a little pissy about it.
Vindman's testimony is what kicked off the entire impeachment of Donald Trump for his phone call to Ukraine.
Right.
And to say that this man was biased.
That's an understatement.
Exactly.
A complete understatement. And then when you hear this from Alex Vindman, you're going to go, oh, now it all makes sense. This is a guy who is completely unhinged. He demands that Trump apologize and J.D. Vance resign.
I want to know why our ally is allowed to disrespect the United States of America, the leader, the current leader of this
J.D.
republic.
Vance owes
Let me
Zelensky
finish.
an apology. President Trump owes Zelensky an apology for the way he was treated.
For what?
I demand it.
What?
I demand that they give.
You demand. Okay, so UN resolution number 2.
If you're going to go ahead and say preposterous things like Zelensky owes an apology for being attacked, I'm going to go ahead and say something outrageous.
If Zelensky wanted peace, then he would have kept his mouth shut.
That's exactly right. But this guy, he says, Trump owes the apology. Well, sir, you are in the extreme minority on this. And if you look at the polling, I bet that it will have increased of the amount of people who are on Trump's side on this argument than are on your side, sir.
Vindman was the person who, when asked and testified in front of Congress, was concerned about Donald Trump's call to Zelensky and asking him to investigate a private U.S. citizen. Donald Trump just said, you've got some corruption going on there. You might want to look into it.
And we all know that. That's why when all this money goes over to Ukraine and it's laundered back to people, specifically Democrats.
How do you bring Vindman on to talk about this?
But that's the thing. That at least there were people on CNN that were willing to stand up and be like, wait, and this is CNN.
It's like bringing me on to denounce vodka.
Yeah, right. It's not going to happen.
No, man, vodka's great. Hey, man, it damages your liver. Nope, never seen that. Don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Move along, sir. But Vindman, because you defended vodka, will call you a Russian asset.
Probably so, actually.
I'm telling you, it's not going to happen.
I haven't considered that one yet.
Yeah, but it's going to happen.
Short-sighted.
Yeah, but look, I don't know why he is part of a think tank. He has military experience. He believes in the Ukrainian cause. Their military is short. Dude, what you waiting on?
You're telling him get on Delta?
Yes, sir. Delta's ready when you are. The old Lewis Grizzard line.
Go take it easy over there.
Or get in the fight if you care so deeply about it. Go get in the fight. Go help them drag men off the street and throw them into vans and take them to the front line. I just watched a video this morning that was heartbreaking. These Ukrainian military members grab this guy off the side of the street, and he's like, I have kids alone at home. Do not do this now. Let me get home. Let me make sure my kids are taken care of before you make me go to the front lines and leave them. Let me at least get home and take care of them. That's the kind of thing that's happening in Ukraine because they don't have the manpower. And even if they did, they're mowing them down at record numbers. There's no way to keep this up. This is a stalemate is the kindest way you can put it.
Vindman is the exact guy that we rail against when we talk about there's such a thing as theater officers, and then there are Pentagon officers.
Mm-hmm.
That's who he is. When you look at his service record, now granted, he did serve, great, but it was in Eurasia. It was in areas that were not hot areas. This is a guy that was trying to get to the Pentagon as quickly as possible so he could influence policy.
That's right.
That's who this person is. This is not boots on the ground, stuff in the mud.
Which is why he's not eager to go to take me up on my offer.
Which is why he's not looking to be on a front line or command anybody in action over in Ukraine.
Guys like this need to be
politician in a uniform. Former uniform.
That's right. It's the people like this that they'll tout as experts, that they'll put on CNN, hoping that you don't know, hoping that you haven't paid attention. If you're listening to the show, I know you have, but that's their gamble, that most people aren't, that most people are not paying attention. And then they put him out there, and he says that Donald Trump needs to resign. The hell you say? I'm telling you, Donald Trump is doing exactly what I voted for him to do. To seal up the border, he's doing it. To end the money laundering craziness that's going to Ukraine because we know it's not helping and it's getting people killed in that. That's what I voted for. These are the things that the American people are rallying behind, and even the most liberal of polls still show him having the backing of the American people in a majority number.
It's a good time to be in Trump's America.
It is.
And tonight's going to continue this.
I can't wait to see, because you got the left that are saying, oh, we're going to bring guests with us that you fired. We're going to bring people that will probably stand up and scream and shout and make a spectacle, as Donald Trump is trying to say.
Good.
This is the reason we're doing what we're doing. Yes, good.
That'll look worse. Nancy Pelosi, you want to talk about the civil war that's going on within the Democrat Party. She's calling on their members, show up, sit there in solidarity that we're against this man. Yet you then have let's bring in distractions. Let's bring in people that are going to cause a ruckus. And the more that you do that, the more you paint yourselves into the area of children. I love it. The teachers' lounge, this is what they do, especially when they're out of power. We've already seen all the numbers where they're paying to try and create protests where no protests exist. They're showing up to town halls to complain as if they're Republicans. There's not. They are not. This is all good for us. So whatever spectacle you want to create tonight, by all means, please create a distraction that makes y'all look more like children.
The cherry on top is going to be if they do a little song, if they do a little chant. You know what I mean? You know the communist way. They're going to get out there and whose side are you on? Whose side are you on? They're going to do that. And it's going to make the American people go, this is what I despise. This is what I detest. I can't stand this. And it's so irritating that even the people that don't love Donald Trump will be so off-put that they're going to say he's doing the right thing even more strongly than they already are.
You are going to put him in more of a power position.
That's a great way to put it.
Please bring in a bunch of milquetoast government or former government-looking workers to sit there and complain, because the rest of America is going to be saying, oh, that's what my dollars are paying for? Because many of us, by no fault of our own, have been fired from jobs. It's what happens when you work in the private sector. Things happen. People sell companies. People downsize companies. Other companies get bought.
Add jobs.
It just happens. It's the course of your career. It's what goes on. To think that you're then going to show up and act like a child in front of your former boss.
That's not going to go well for you. Just like if somebody, pick where you work, the UPS store. And you're there, and it sucks. Somebody got let go. They had to shrink it down. And they come in, and they just raise Cain, and they make your job more difficult to do by them doing what they're doing, that spectacle, because customers are like, what in the world? That pushes people away. That's not going to have the person that's running the register at the UPS store right now, even if they like that person, is going to go, dude, you're not making it easy on me, and I had nothing to do with this.
I've got a good friend of mine, a coworker, who he had a hard time when his company downsized with getting back into the broadcast industry. And the reason why, it's because when his job was eliminated and he was on his way out the door, he made a point to the media that, well, it's a sinking ship anyway. And what that did is that made that incredibly hard for the sales staff to go out and, sell advertising at that point. You just said that it was a sinking ship on your way out. That made the next several companies go, dude, on your way out, you said this to hurt the company. You weren't hurting the company so much as you were hurting the other workers. And that's the sort of person they didn't want. And it took years for him to be able to basically make up for that. So when you get let go from the federal government or anywhere else like that, hey, chin up. It's a good experience. I wish everybody well, because those will be the people. Even the ones that let you go will be the ones that'll hire you at the next position.
And I've seen that happen.
Or we'll talk well about you.
I've seen that happen, that very thing. Company let somebody go, not because they wanted to, it was just in a situation, and then bring them back when they had the opportunity. We've had it happen in this building.
We had it in this building. During COVID, there was downsizing that went on. When everything moved back to normal in terms of ratings and revenue and all that stuff, those people, if there was a position open, those are the first people that were called and got their jobs back here.
I've seen it at least 2 or 3 times here. And then you go back to, the discussions on CNN with people like Vindman and others too, where they talk about Donald Trump not being popular, even though every poll that we bring up.
Every poll shows he's popular, more popular than he's ever been, more popular than any politician in the country, more popular at this point, he and J.D. Vance, than Barack Obama.
It's amazing. Think about just that dynamic, that Barack Obama, everybody's favorite, so they say, everybody's favorite, is less popular than Donald Trump is right now. There's not. And if you want to boil it down Republican, Democrat, find me a single Democrat, one, that's more popular than Donald Trump right now. I bet there's not one. I can't think of one. I can't even think of one that's in the same ballpark. Chuck Schumer? Nope. Nancy Pelosi? Nope. Hakeem Jeffries? Nope. I mean, Jasmine Crockett? Definitely not. AOC? She's not either. None of them, Los. None of them are as popular as Donald Trump right now. And tonight you're going to see that on display. He's going to speak. You'll have the Democrats trying to create a spectacle. The American people are going to reject that and be pushed even closer to Donald Trump. Not just because his policies are popular and the things that he's doing, the decisions he's making are popular, because they don't want to be associated with that, whatever that clown show is, when you have people standing up and singing Kumbaya in the middle of a speech to the joint Congress.
As of right now, and this is from JL Partners, you have Donald Trump more popular than ever. He's a +8 in approval rating, 54 to 46.
Wow.
It's never been this high. First off, being at 54% on anything when you're a United States president, I mean, we talk about if you can survive and be reelected on 40 to 39% approval rating. That's pretty typical. Joe Biden was at 31%, which is why it was always going to be an uphill climb for him. But at 54%, even if you gave back 8 points, you're still considered very popular within this country.
Then you have the Europeans doing the thing that started on their continent. The fact that free speech is important. The fact that freedom, individual rights are important. And Tulsi Gabbard, she knows what we all know, that they are, and that J.D. Vance has pointed out at the Munich Security Council meeting when he said, you are doing this to your own people. You're taking their freedom of speech away. And remember how riled up and how pissed off they were.
You can't say that to us.
Especially on our soil.
You can't show up here.
Yes, we can.
And tell us about free speech.
And we did.
And so we talked about it yesterday, that we are in a position now where maybe Europe just is lost. That this is supposed to be part of the West, part of the area of the country, of the world that believes in freedom and democracy and rule of law and voting and elections. Like this is supposed to be these bastions of freedom. And I think we're now hitting the point where Europe is perhaps gone. Maybe it comes back. Maybe there's a clap back like we've seen here in the United States. But as of right now, we're not seeing it. And so I want you to take a listen to Tulsi Gabbard. We made that point yesterday on the show a couple of times. She came out yesterday afternoon and had a video, and take a listen to what she has recognized as well.
Many of these European countries, and Zelensky himself, who claimed to be standing and fighting for the cause of freedom and democracy, when we actually look at what's happening in these countries, as well as with Zelensky's government in Ukraine, is the exact opposite. You have the canceling of elections in Ukraine. You have political parties being silenced or even criminalized or thrown in prison. You have the freedom of religion, churches being shut down. You have political opposition being silenced. You have total government control of the media. We could go down a whole laundry list of issues that are against the values of democracy and freedom. So it really begs the question, as Vice President Vance said again in Munich, it's clear that they're standing against Putin, but what are they actually really fighting for? And are they aligned with the values that they claim to hold in agreement with us, the values that President Trump and Vice President Vance are standing for? And those are the values of freedom, of peace, and true security.
Europe's gone, kids. At least for now.
Certainly right. Because what is the thought police where they were arresting people for thinking or praying inside their own home? And they had, I think it was CNN.
Or offensive tweets, or offensive posts.
Right. Though there was a parade in Germany yesterday or the day before where they had this effigy. What is it?
An effigy.
Effigy, thank you. And it was of Elon Musk, and he was holding a swastika that was painted in the red, white, and blue with the stars and stripes. So you can go on the internet and say something and be arrested, and then they will allow that because it matches their political ideology. That just tells you they have no desire for freedom of speech. If you do not conform, then you are the enemy. That's in Europe. Like Los is saying, it could be gone for good. It's definitely in a place where it's in limbo at best now. I do feel like there are Europeans and even Canadians. There's Canadians in there because we have Canadian listeners and we love them because they feel the same way that we do, is that those walls are closing in and they're trying their best to fight, but they are in an uphill battle against leftists and communists.
The founding fathers of this country, these weren't guys that were writing this stuff on a cocktail napkin, all right? They weren't grabbing the back of a Domino's box and starting to line out, hey, what should we do with the country? These men were very well read. They knew history. And they also knew about the evolution of what has gone on with different governments. And so one of the things that they did, first and foremost, was you have to be able to speak in any way without the government coming after you. Free speech is the fundamental aspect of true freedom in any country. And so when you have, across Europe, free speech being dented or being harassed or becoming illegal, any of these ruins a free society.
That's right.
First and foremost, you can tell me about your guns, you can tell me about what schools you're being sent to, but if you're not allowed to speak in the way that you wish to, for fear that the government is going to come after you, you don't have freedom.
You have to be willing to, and that's us on our side, the winning side. In Trump's America, we still have to be willing to defend the speech that we vehemently disagree with. We have to be willing to defend that, and if we're not, we don't have freedom of speech. That means at some point, when we're out of power, when it's not Trump's glory days of America, our speech will then be limited because it will be out of favor. You have to be willing to defend the speech that you do not like to have actual freedom of speech. 8 o'clock hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta Carrier experts. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com. The best in the business. Carrier working with the best in the business at Central. When we continue, Doge has hit the TMX, the Morning Xtra family. Next on Extra.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates, Inc., DBA Master Plan Retirement Consultants. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
Retirement means different things to different people. Some folks want to travel the world. Some folks want to spend more time with grandkids. For me, I'm looking forward to spending more time with my guitar. Whether extravagant and robust or simple and cozy, every retirement needs a plan. You wouldn't take a trip without directions. You have to know where you are before you know where you're going. Master Plan Retirement Consultants have helped many like you plan for their own retirement. Not only does Master Plan help you create the roadmap, they join you on the journey. So whether you want to travel the world, become a pickleball champ, or just looking for a good porch, a sturdy rocking chair, and an acoustic guitar, remember to plan well because the destination is worth it. Visit masterplanretire.com to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
Hey, it's Mike with Atlanta Painting Company. We invite you to transform your home. Our expert team brings color to life with top quality paints and flawless finishes, and leading the industry with our color consultants. Whether it's a fresh coat of paint for one room or an entire exterior makeover, the Atlanta Painting Company has you covered. So, trust the local pros for reliable, professional service when you need to revive your home or business. Find us at atlantapaintingcompany.com or call us at 1-800-PAINTING. That's atlantapaintingcompany.com. The Atlanta Painting Company, the painters you can trust.
Have you considered securing your family's future, protecting your hard-earned assets, navigating complex legal matters with ease? Nelson Elder Care Law is here to guide and empower you and your loved ones. As a family-owned and family-focused business, our mission is to exceed your expectations, offering absolute assurance and peace of mind. With our trademark Absolute Protection Trust and expertise in customized estate planning, Medicaid crisis solutions, probate administration, guardianship, and conservatorship, Nelson Elder Care Law protects what matters most to you. Imagine a team dedicated to safeguarding your legacy every step of the way. Our flat fees ensure transparency, and our customized plans prioritize your family's specific needs. Are you worried about protecting your family and your legacy after you're gone? Let us help you ensure you're absolutely protected from whatever curveballs life may throw your way. Schedule a complimentary legacy planning meeting with our legal team in Marietta or Woodstock today. Contact us at 678-250-9355 or visit NelsonElderCareLaw.com.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on this station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your headlines for Tuesday, March 4th. Fort Moore is undergoing another name change. U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth signed a memorandum Monday that reverts the name of the Army base to Fort Benning. The name change pays tribute to Corporal Fred G. Benning, who was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross for his actions in World War I. A resolution to legalize sports betting in Georgia goes up for vote in the House this week. The bill's sponsor, Representative Marcus Wiedauer, says regulating online sports betting could generate $150 million for Georgia pre-K. If passed, the legislation will allow Georgians to vote on legalized sports betting in 2026. Another windy day today with highs in the low 70s and storms moving in overnight. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier experts, the best in the business, working with the best in the business. Call them for a great deal, maintenance agreement, or a repair for a carrier system or any other system that you might have. They work on it all at 770-GET-HEAT and centralheat.com, their website, centralheat.com. So this is one of those stories that you never want to hear, you never want to have happen, but it's one of those things where there is going to be pain in fixing what's happening in the United States of America. But it's my understanding, Los, that the DOJ cuts have hit home.
This is encouraging, but I also said not to worry. So both of my brother-in-laws, one of them who previously worked at EA Games, ended up spending about 10 years there at EA, worked on the Tiger Woods game, and then ended up taking a job back in Huntsville, Alabama, and it was for a military contract company. And so what they would do is they would fulfill contracts for the Army. In this case, designing simulators for the Army. They would also, in one of the cases, there was a football simulator where you could draw up plays and then they would play it on the simulator for you. My brother-in-law designed that, and it was used to recruit for the U.S. Army. At the end of the simulator, it would tell you, hey, would you like to learn information more about the Army?
GoArmy.com.
So that's what he would do. My younger brother-in-law, this is a guy who's really sharp dude, graduate of Auburn, master's degree as well, and he works on, the simplest way we can put it, he works with missiles. Okay, that's what his company does for the U.S. military. Again, a private contractor in this case. And he got an email from DOJ asking him, so what have you done? 5 things. And the panic hit that young man. Now, keep in mind, he has worked for the U.S. government in one capacity or another. He has worked in D.C. He's now out of Huntsville, Alabama, spent some time in Atlanta as well. Again, all as a federal employee. And the fun part about it was he starts calling his dad. And my father-in-law worked for 35 years as a logistician for the U.S. military. And his dad flat out told him, "You're fine. It's totally good.
Just fill out the email, man.
Just fill out the email.
5 bullet points, just showing that you're alive and breathing. We're not just sending a random check to no one."
And my wife does the, "Oh my God, what if he loses his job?" I go, "That's not what that's being done for." To see the federal employee freak out in the way that they are over this stuff.
Up close, you got to see it.
What I explained to her was, we have so much waste, fraud, and abuse that people are not even answering the email because they're not doing the job. This is a check that's being sent off into the ether, and it heads over to somebody, and we have no way to account for it other than we can pull your tax records, but we don't want to do that. Instead, we're just going to send you an email, and can you respond to an email in that alone? But to see Doge actually filter its way down to my brother-in-law and say, "Hey, what have you been doing for the federal government?" And of course, he could write all day long. That's not a problem. He's actually does solid work for them.
But the narrative had him so panicked.
Yes.
Even though he was doing what he was supposed to do, doing what he was paid to do.
Even though he's basically made a career of it where he's been working for the federal government for about 13, 14 years now. He even had the panic moment of, "Oh my God, Elon's asking me, what am I doing here?"
But dude, that's how powerful.
But I thought that was encouraging.
Absolutely.
For the regular American like me who thinks that a lot of times my dollars, my taxpayer dollars, are being wasted, because it's not about my brother-in-law. It's about that other dude who's never checked his government email. He's been doing a job for somebody else, and yet he keeps getting a check.
Like that, like the place in San Antonio they brought up.
Right.
$18 million a month. And it hadn't housed one single migrant, one single illegal alien. And yet the checks kept coming. And what was it, 2021?
2021 it opened. It was $18 million per month to a facility that has not housed one illegal immigrant.
Fraud, waste, and abuse. That's why the American people are so behind this, and why they're okay with Elon Musk and Donald Trump, because Donald gives Elon the authority to do it under Doge. Send an email. Just see if they're breathing. That's what we're trying to confirm. What a low bar. But isn't it amazing that that's how low the bar that the federal government has? Just tell me you're breathing.
I also have another friend of mine who spent a lot of time with the Government Accountability Office. Now, he has since moved to Athens because he did not have to report into work any longer. I wonder if that alters how often he has to be in the office and how inconvenient that must be for him to now report to Atlanta from Athens on a once-a-week basis, whatever it is.
Do I feel for him? Yes. But if you work for a place and you know where the office is, most people buy a house near where they work, right? I mean, that's usually the way people do it. So if you felt so comfortable that I'm going to move, 90 miles to Athens? Is it 90? Is it 50? What is it?
About 55.
Okay, 55.
Miles,
okay.
Yeah.
Let's say you felt comfortable enough to move 55 miles away because you knew there was no one going to ever have you come back to the office. That's not a good scenario for me as a taxpayer. And I'm sure he's a wonderful guy. I have no ill will toward him. But at the same time, that's happening thousands and thousands and thousands of times across the country.
I explained this to my wife because once we had the discussion, I explained what was going on. Now the calm down factor. Oh, wait, so they're not trying to see if they should keep him as a job? I was like,
it was never that. Elon's been so vocal about it.
I was like, what they're trying to do is make sure that he's alive, that he's actually doing a job for the federal government. Because, and as I explained, you have millions of federal workers and millions, let's be honest, that probably can't be accounted for. The reason why Doge was interested in tax records is because they could cross-reference who's getting two W-2s. Because when you work for the federal government, you're not allowed to have another full-time job with somebody else. It's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
And so that was initially what then it turned into, all right, if we're not going to access the tax records as of now, instead, let's just see if they're breathing. Respond to an email.
Can they fog up a mirror?
Yes.
That's the level of...
Are they answering an email to their government email?
These people...
And so it hit my brother-in-law.
These people have been so just in a different world. If my son in college, he has standards. He's playing college baseball. Los played college baseball. They have standards that they have to meet, or they can't be on the baseball team. You're telling me that we hold college kids to a standard that we don't hold our federal government to? Nobody thinks that's okay. Nobody's okay with that. Nobody wants to see that continue because it's unsustainable. It completely is degrading what it means to as a taxpayer, that your money is going and it is so frivolously spent, and we're going to waste it. You would use it on paying your credit card bills. You would use it on paying for signing up your kid for T-ball. You would use it for something instructive, and the federal government is so frivolous. They don't give a damn about you signing your kid up for T-ball. They're going to waste it any way they see fit, and you better not say a word. And that's why so many Americans across the political aisle, across the political spectrum, are good with what's happening. And that's why Donald Trump's approval ratings are so high.
Far be it from me to disparage the federal worker unless they deserve it. But my brother-in-law does not.
Okay. And that's great.
So that's where as I explained, I was like, listen, you're exactly the person that they're trying to get. This is a guy, he's as patriotic as it comes. He is as invested as it gets. He is a true American. That is the sort of person you want working for the federal government.
Of course.
That is what we're trying to figure out as we do this. Now, are you going to have some people that are probably in that boat and they decide we're going to move on from you? Yeah, because some of these departments are either redundant or they don't make sense. When you have this canceling of these DEI contracts and these people walk out of these offices and they say, I'm an American patriot. I love this country. Yeah, but you found yourself into the wrong office. It really was not productive for the country. It'd be similar to...
How patriotic is it if you're wasting time and money?
I will tell you flat out, when you will see corporations, when we have major downsizing within the country, what's one of the first things that goes? Well, first things is typically marketing dollars. Okay, that's how that goes. But then the next thing typically is HR. Independent HR departments that work within organizations. When you're not hiring, you don't need an HR department. You need a one HR person at that point. And so you will see HR staff, they're gone. You know, they will find somebody who will just handle the job by themselves. When we had COVID and the first thing that went away was, hey, we're no longer going to be out and about doing radio shows, promotions, blown out. That's what happens. These federal workers just found themselves in the wrong place and invested their time in the wrong thing. It was DEI or it was some other really weird government contract.
But that's been so prevalent for so long, it seemed like it would last forever, too.
Yeah, my brother-in-law is involved in missile defense.
Yeah, that's very different.
Fairly certain we're going to be okay there.
However, there's so few, in my view, so few of your brother-in-law, the people that are doing the job, that are doing the right thing, versus how many people aren't. And that number is extraordinary. And that's why I think that federal workforce is going to be pared down greatly. And will there be good people that work hard?
Yes.
Absolutely. They're going to take the brunt of it. Just like if a company's bought out. We've used this example 1,000 times. Company's bought out. They bring in their own operations manager. We'll just take that as an example. When they bring in their own ops guy, guess what happens to the ops guy from the company they just bought out?
The other one, here's your papers.
We don't need to.
Yeah, we don't need to.
It doesn't matter that guy works his tail off.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that he's good at what he does.
That's exactly right. Yet, people are going to, tonight, bring people who are in probably a tough spot because they've just lost their job and they're frustrated and they're angry, and they're going to bring them and use them as pawns to stand in front of the American people, because this will be broadcast from every end of the earth, and they're going to raise Cain in front of Donald Trump, and it's going to do the exact opposite of what they think it's going to do.
There was a moment in the Joe Rogan podcast last week with Elon Musk, and Elon talked about how when it comes to Doge, they do have a problem figuring out, is this really necessary or it's not? And so Doge will reach out to some of these government contracts, and it might say, we provide aid to this particular country in the way of, let's just say, grain. This is what we provide. We provide grain to this area of Kenya, for instance. Elon Musk talked about, okay, we're just going to ask you if you can show us some proof. And he goes, I don't even care if you use AI to show me some sacks of grain in a storage room.
Just show me something.
At least now we're like, okay, let's move on. That one seems to be somewhat legit. He goes, the amount of where we don't get anything at all.
Yeah, it's just no response.
He's like, there's no response. It's like, okay, that one's cut. So all Doge and all Elon is saying, Even lie to me, damn it. Something.
Let me just put my hand under your nose.
But there's so much waste.
To feel there's air coming out.
That's why they're doing so many cuts, because they go, there's no response here. Apparently, I can't believe we're funding $18 million to a facility that isn't doing what it says it's doing because there's no one there to put.
404-741-1230. Buck is in Lilburn. What's on your mind, man?
Hey, guys. Love the show, man. Listen as often as I can. I'm a veteran, and veterans every once in a while will go through a reclassification system where the equipment they use, like for instance, like when the Huey helicopter went out of service, those mechanics and pilots and crew chiefs and whatnot, they all had to find a new job in the Army, or they were given the option to separate.
Right.
So when I'm hearing stuff about the federal government, DOGE, DEI, I mean, I'm sure there's tons of programs, and you're talking missile defense, for instance. When something becomes obsolete or unneeded, or a new computer program, I mean, that's just the way of the world.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't understand. Yeah, I'm just a little confused what what the uproar is about when, if for instance, like if you build bridges and we're going to a different type of bridge, well, you need to go back to school, buddy. Like that's just I felt like that's a little more more frequent.
Yes, sir. We appreciate your call. You're exactly right. If your job becomes obsolete, like the F-35, that's never functioned the way it's supposed to, at some point the military is going to be like, we're scrapping this.
But Buck has that military mindset of, here's the mission, adapt to get it done. And oftentimes, your mission will change. Can you adapt to now fulfill the next mission? And so oftentimes when the government does change out some of their, just as he was pointing out, like I remember when my father-in-law talked about when they were changing out their computer systems in the way that they were handling things from a logistical standpoint. Like one of the things that my father-in-law talked about doing, and this was 15 years ago, we had a storage amount of gases from World War I that the government tasked his group with. We are sending these to get these transported across the country so we can destroy them at a different facility. And so they had to use now this brand new software in order to figure out the safest way to get this stuff sent across the country. Well, it wasn't like you got to complain about, why are you giving us this new task and new software? I got to learn new software? Yeah. No, you either did or you moved on or you moved to a different part of the government.
And I would tell you, like, I've joked about it a bunch of times, like, Pete Hegseth had me ready to run back in the Navy, right? And hand salute and request permission to come aboard. I would have to learn I've been out of the Navy 20 years. I'd have to learn all new systems. I never served on an Aegis class ship.
It doesn't look like battleship anymore, sir.
I don't know what to do. Can y'all help? You tell me you don't use maneuvering boards anymore?
A4. Oops.
Hey, you sunk my battleship. No, but that's the thing. Like, it's so, to your point and to Bucky's point too, I would have to get trained up on a new Aegis system. And I would imagine even the Aegis systems that were that were the top of the technology in the Navy at that time 20 years ago have even advanced further now. So I bet those people that did work on Aegis class destroyers or cruisers or whatever are having to get re-educated. And every time they implement a new system, to your point, they're having to relearn how to use it. I mean, this is not like it's not anything out of the ordinary.
We'd have to drop you on the USS Missouri.
That's
You'd
right.
be like, man, things are really old around here.
Exactly. We'd be like, man, y'all need to bring this ship into modern times, and my modern times are still 20 years old. God, it's amazing. 8 o'clock hour brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier expert, 770-GET-HEAT. CentralHeat.com. Up next, story time. Get out your number 2 pencil, your piece of paper, if you still do it the old school way, and take notes. At church on Sundays, I see a lot of people taking notes with pencils. But occasionally, I'll see that person taking notes on their iPhone. Maybe you'll do it that way, too, with story time. The Zelensky moment that was his Hitler moment, if you can believe that. Next on the Morning Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Tuesday, March 4th. The Atlanta Hawks got a last-second buzzer beater in Memphis for the win to beat the Grizzlies 132-130. Karis LeVert scores the game winner with no time left on the clock after a steal by Dyson Daniels. The Hawks are now 28-33 on the season. From the NFL, NFL, the deadline for franchise tagging players is quickly approaching. The Minnesota Vikings are reportedly unlikely to tag quarterback Sam Darnold after the Vikings are looking to re-sign the quarterback. Darnold was 14-3 as a starter last season. And from Braves spring training, the Braves are in action this afternoon from Northport as they host the Minnesota Twins this afternoon. First pitch is set for 1:05. You can hear that game on our sister station with their app, 680 The Fan.
Central Heating and Air Conditioning wants you to know the start of the new season is the perfect time to ensure your home's comfort. Don't wait like most people do to have your HVAC system serviced. Your home should have maintenance twice a year. Maintenance helps keep your system running at peak efficiency and extends the life of your equipment. So turn to Atlanta's Carrier experts for your system's maintenance. With Central, you get Carrier products, Carrier warranty, and Carrier peace of mind. It's allergy season, and Central Heating and Air can fix what ails your house and possibly your family with home ventilation and air quality products. Central has packages designed around health using variable speed, fresh air ventilation, air cleaners, air purifiers, dehumidifiers, and more. Central Heating and Air is one of the few second-generation, locally owned and operated HVAC companies in Atlanta. With Central, you're not just a number, you're a member of the family. It's been that way since 1947, and they've serviced over 100,000 customers right here in Atlanta. Call 770-GET-HEAT or go to centralheat.com.
We're smart, we care. We're Central Heating and Air.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. You know, a great smile can make you more successful as well as make you happy. Yes, it's true. And your smile's waiting for you at my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler, my friend for 30 years and dentist forever. This woman at Atlanta Smiles, atlantasmiles.com, the dentist with the doggy. It's really true, whether it's just regular cleaning or bridges or crowns or are your teeth bothering a little bit, maybe a little ache or something, or your gums it's not going to get better on its own. Take it from me, I found that out the hard way. Taking care of your teeth and gums, and everybody's happy. And by the way, you can relax with Dr. Dina. This is an individual, private VIP experience. The latest technology. She used AI to get my last thing done at my last visit. And don't forget the doggies, a little doggy to take a nap in your lap while you're getting your work done. And this staff, these ladies are angels, I promise you. You'll love going there. A veteran herself, Dr. Dina, 10% veterans discount off the top. Tell them when you call. 404-262-7733. Your smile's waiting. Get the doggy at atlantasmiles.com.
This is House Call for Health. Tea is known to be one of the healthiest beverages, and the benefits aren't just what's in the cup. Analysts from Northwestern University in Illinois found the process of brewing tea was shown to remove toxic heavy metals from drinking water. The data shows during brewing, heavy metals like lead and cadmium are absorbed by the tea leaves, keeping them from entering the water. They also said the longer the tea is brewed, the more reduction in metal content. Researchers say for a typical cup of tea, the preparation could remove about 15% of lead from drinking water. But they caution people shouldn't rely on tea to clean their water because they're not public health researchers. So it remains to be seen if the levels of lead reduction they observed would translate to population-wide health benefits. The findings are published in the journal ACS Food, Science, and Technology. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
The Dean's List with Janice Dean.
A dog from Wisconsin that saved a man nearly frozen outside makes today's Dean's List. Katie Higgins had Jagger with her one day while she was heading to her parents' house. Once they arrived, Jagger started barking towards the backyard, and that's when they saw an unconscious man that was lying in the snow in the bushes at the back of the house. That's when the family decided to call 911. First responders arrived, and the man is expected to survive despite being outside for quite a while and having frostbite. Katie says Jagger is a hero, and she's so glad she adopted him 4 years ago from a kill shelter in Texas. Her dad said the rescue she rescued saved a life. She hopes sharing the story will inspire others to support local shelters and adopt pets who need a good home. Well done, Jagger. You made the Doggy Dean's List. Janice Dean, Fox News.
Did you miss Neil Bortz?
I am shocked.
Don't worry. He's live anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
Oh, that radio show.
Did traffic cause you to miss some of the Kimmer Show? Get it on the app.
It's all the kids talk about on Monday at school.
With anytime show replays from the Kimmer, Bortz, the Morning Extra, Clay and Buck, and so much more. Plus local headlines and breaking news. Grab the Extra 106.3 app now and start streaming.
At a risk of sounding like Miss Bonner from 6th grade, When she used to holler at me and I wasn't paying enough attention, she would say, eyeball the board. That's what I want you to do as we get into story time with Front Office Los. It is all brought to you by Atlanta Ramjack, your local foundation repair experts, atlantaramjack.com.
Settle in and get comfortable, folks. It's story time with Uncle Los.
Thank you, Ramjack. Thank you, Tug.
You bet.
Thank you, Dirty Jerry.
Wow.
So filthy.
Wow.
Dirty today. That's right.
Wow,
the filthiest man of all filthy men.
Just avoid as possible.
And thank you to America and to America.
Hashtag Marco.
So I want to talk about a scenario that I think we saw play out on Friday. And this was Zelensky and his meeting in the Oval Office. But I want to take it back because bringing up Hitler always has people get all animated. Oh, Hitler this, Hitler that. It must be a Hitler. It must be a Nazi. It has lost its energy in a lot of cases.
It's like racist, sexist.
Just if you're
whatever.
Calling people these things
nonstop, it loses its value.
It's like, yeah, all right, he's Hitler. All right, that's a Nazi. But I wanted to bring up a situation that we had that occurred in 1944. And I want to also bring up my grandfather, who he passed in the early 90s. But he was a man who served in World War II. He was a guy who he jumped in, he signed up in 1942, and by 1944, he's going across Europe. And one of the things that when we'd get him a little intoxicated, he would talk about the crazy scenario that happened to him in Belgium. This was the Battle of the Bulge. What occurred was the American and the Allied forces were moving across Europe, heading over into Germany, and they were just taking ground on a regular basis. Supply lines were good, everything's going good, everyone's talking about being home by 45. And the Nazi army and Hitler decided, we've got one last play here. Our play is we're going to try and drive on the port of Antwerp. We're going to go through the Ardennes forest. We are going to try and cut the Allies in half and basically encircle their army. And why did they want to do that? Because the Germans knew we're losing this war. We're dealing with the Russians on one front. All right, maybe we can deal with them over here. The Allies are coming down on our other front. Maybe we can negotiate a more quality peace for what the Germans wanted to do. They wanted to be able to stop one of the fronts of the war. And so when my grandfather tells the story, they're overrun by Germans. He's like, I'm basically sitting in a ditch listening to them all run by and they're speaking in German. He's like, we are behind the lines. He's like, and now it took us all morning and then into the evening to us to work back to the American lines. But that's where the Bulge comes. That's where the name of Battle of the Bulge, because the Bulge that it occurred. You might know this from Band of Brothers and Bastogne, where 101st was surrounded at Bastogne. That was a critical area because of all of the roads and the rails that ran through there. So we had to hold it to make sure the Germans couldn't get a foothold and be able to drive on Antwerp. So I say that to then point out this. Hitler recognized at the time, my last opportunity to be able to maintain power and to maintain authority is going to require this maneuver, the Battle of the Bulge. And what happened after it failed? When the Allied forces, basically when the weather cleared and our air forces and our air superiority were able to retake the area, the Germans were beat. And at that point it was, here come the Allied forces, here come the Russian forces, and all that Hitler had left was the fear bunker. Cyanide tablets, Eva Braun, and a bullet to the head. That's all he had left. And Zelensky is not unlike in that role. His last-ditch power play was Friday and into the weekend with the EU. And what we've seen is that when it comes to these people, when they have this sort of power, and when they've had this determination in war, they don't make deals at a certain point. Hitler had one last deal to try and make, and after his maneuver failed, he was bent on total destruction of Germany. He had his generals around him talking about, hey, we need to negotiate some sort of settlement here. We need to for lack of a better term, they needed to basically retire from the war. They were like, hey, we need to surrender.
We got to put it into it.
That did not happen. Hitler talked about fighting to the last man. And that for the strength of Germany, for the power of Germany, everybody will fight to the last man. Everyone, as both sides are bearing down on him, this is what we're going to do. Zelensky, I believe, is going down this road. Not unlike what we saw in 1944, 1945. This is a man who is playing the last cards, and just as Donald Trump told him, you don't have the cards.
Yeah, the cards are gone. The only reason you have any cards is because we've given them to you.
And so now that the U.S. has decided to pause military aid to Ukraine, what we're trying to do is get Hitler in his fear bunker to finally say, all right, that's enough. We already saw Zelensky try and pull his Battle of the Bulge moment.
Yeah, and it failed.
Just
like the Battle of the Bulge.
So now is he going to take the deal? Or is he going to be Hitler in the fear bunker?
See, I expect he knows he has no other car. He knows. And I guess Hitler did too, but the difference is he knows that if he blows this off, he doesn't have the backing of the Europeans. Or he does in vocal, they're vocal about it.
But not a military strength backing.
They don't have any, there's no cards, to use your example, there's no cards for him to play. So if he wants to survive without the fear bunker, if he wants to survive, he has to go back. That's why he begged when he was leaving the White House, please don't kick me out. Let's talk about this. Now, he's gone back and been, what was it? He told the AP that we're very, very far away from ending this war. So as much as I want to believe that he's smart enough to figure this out, he says stuff like that, which doesn't help his cause.
What he does not recognize, just like Hitler didn't either, his war is over. Like, this is done.
You don't, because I think he knows.
He still thinks, oh, we're going to be able to fight on.
I don't think he believes that, Los. I really don't. How can you believe that? You know better. You've seen what's happened. You're dragging people off the street to go put them on the front lines.
Because it's madness, man.
Yeah.
In the same way.
Crazy, yeah.
That it was right in Hitler's face that this is over. And yet, he still continued what he continued to do. That's Zelensky. Zelensky is now in that same exact scenario that we saw play out, nearly 100 years ago.
I feel like if I were in Zelensky's situation, which I would never be, but I feel like if you came to me, it's like, Tug, man,
here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
Over.
It's over. That I would go, okay. I'm not so stubborn that I couldn't see my countrymen dying at this alarming number and say, yep, let's continue.
The ridiculous part of this story is that, yes, he is correct, Zelensky is, when he talks about, hey, the Russians won't honor a ceasefire. They will once you're backed by whatever forces are going to be there. I'm not saying boots on the ground, but once there's a deal amongst everyone, now there's a deal.
Could it be more of a risk? Because I don't believe he's scared of 10,000 British troops that haven't been in war since World War II. And they've got 25 tanks. 25. Look it up. The UK says they have 25 operational tanks. I think it's more of a Donald Trump will do something. He has the courage to make hard decisions. He did it on Friday. He made a hard decision when he showed the world what it was that Ukraine was trying to do, and he was having none of it. I think he respects Trump more than he respects those 10,000 peacekeepers that UK's talking about.
I think Trudeau brought it up yesterday when he talked about making 10 military jets available to the Ukrainians, and the numbers were, that's 16% of his Air Force.
Right. Come on, the Russians know that. If I know it, you know it. The Russians know it.
Oh, you're going to send 10 planes, huh?
Oh, boy.
Watch out.
10 planes that they probably can't fly. That we've already seen that because Biden sent jets. And they gave a Ukrainian pilot one chance to fly it, and he damages the plane. They can't even fly the jets. Why? What would be the point of sending 10? They can't even fly them anyway. It's these people they're in a no-win situation, yet they still want to push back.
Every day the deal gets more sour. Take the deal.
That's right. Story time with Front Office Los, always learning something.
Or otherwise you end up with Ava Braun, cyanide and a Luger.
Yeah, no thank you. Who wants that? Who wants that to be the end? This is the Morning Xtra on Xtra 106.3. When we come back, Bernie Sanders was asked a basic yes or no question and had no answer, which tells you everything you need to know. Next on Xtra 106.3.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Xtra 106.3.
Years ago, some guy bought a bank on Roswell Road, complete with the safe. He came up with an idea. I'm going to let people rent a safe deposit box using only numbers. They'll be identified by a number. They come in, they give me the number, they give me the code, they get access to the box. No names. How long do you think that lasted? Not long. Federal government shut them down. In the same vein, I encountered something yesterday that steamed my berries pretty good. For well over 15 years in Naples, we've been using a UPS store to receive our mail. We don't necessarily want the people sending us mail to know where we live. So today, we're notified by the UPS store that according to federal government regulations, we have to come in and sign paperwork that notifies the government of the actual residence address of everybody that rents a box there. You have to present a picture ID, driver's license, passport, something like that, plus you also have to provide a secondary piece of information, a mortgage, an automobile registration, some other official documentation that verifies your home address. If you don't do this, then they are going to cancel your box and you won't be able to receive mail there anymore. What is this? It's all an attempt by the federal government to make damn sure that you can't receive a piece of mail or a package at this UPS store without the government being able to track it right to your home. This is not the type of government that was envisioned by our founding fathers, and not the type of government that I eagerly approve of. Hey, government, get the hell out of my face, please. This is a bit much. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
This is Atlanta's new home for Fox News, Extra 106.3 FM.
HGI Wealth Advisors is your financial defense partner, preparing you for the unexpected when the inevitable happens in life. Our tailored strategies empower families to build wealth, generate infinite income, and mitigate taxes, fees, and penalties. At HGI Wealth Advisors, we help you transfer wealth while creating an everlasting legacy. Our goal is to ensure you meet your financial needs today, tomorrow, and into retirement. Our experienced team is committed to ensuring your legacy endures for generations to come. Learn more at hgiwealthadvisors.com.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
President Trump has done it again. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, imposing more tariffs on more imports that went into effect after midnight, north and south of the U.S. border. Fox's Alexandria Hoff details them from the White House.
25% on all imports from Mexico, 25% on Canadian imports as well. That would be 10% on Canadian energy, and a doubling of existing tariffs on Chinese imports, now at 20%. So Beijing was quick to turn around with a 15% tariff on American food products. Canada's promised tariffs up to 25% against more than $150 billion of American products.
And Mexico's president just said she'll detail their retaliation of the tariffs on Sunday. Trump critics warn more tariffs will cause more inflation, but Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent downplays that, telling Fox.
With the China tariffs, I am highly confident that the Chinese manufacturers will eat the tariffs. Prices won't go up.
The U.S. is putting on hold all military aid for Ukraine after providing billions of dollars worth of weapons and ammo and other gear since Russia invaded. The pause comes days after President Trump's contentious meeting with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky.
He said he thinks the war's going to go on for a long time. And he better not be right about that.
And we'll hear from the president tonight when he addresses the nation before a joint session of Congress. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt just told Fox he will
talk about his intention to end the war in Ukraine, talk about his plan to bring all of the hostages out of Gaza home. And he's also going to make an ask of Congress tonight. We need more border funding to continue with these deportations that have been incredibly successful.
Now, Democrats disagree. Here's Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
Expect Donald Trump to say many things that are false, including perhaps Russian information.
Some Democrats plan to invite laid-off federal workers protesting Elon Musk and DOJ-led cutbacks. There are blizzard or winter warnings from Colorado to Missouri to Wisconsin, while the threat of thunderstorms and powerful wind gusts affect Mardi Gras parades in New Orleans. Texas also affected their more than 300,000 power outages. America's listening to Fox News.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. But don't just take our word for it. Here's Jackie and Veronica, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than
than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Just call or click to see how much you can save today. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit ConsumerCellular.com. That's 1-888-FREEDOM or ConsumerCellular.com today. Real people pay to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Wake up with the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3 Atlanta.
I just heard in the Fox News update, I bet you did too, that the Democrats will be standing there booing. They'll screech, they'll cry, they'll whine, they'll hold up signs, and they will boo Donald Trump when he talks about ending the war in Ukraine. They'll boo, screech, and cry when he talks about bringing home the hostages that are being held, dead or alive, in Gaza. And they will screech, cry, and moan and hold up signs when he says we need to make sure that we are securing our border. All three that Americans voted for him to do. And the polling backs him up, even of the most liberal. I said this earlier, even the most liberal of polls show that the majority of American people support all those things. You're going to have Democrats in the chamber in front of this joint Congress that will be holding up signs saying, nope, don't want that. Don't want any of those things. Boo, hiss. We've got people here that have been fired with Doge that will raise Cain, and they're going to try to pull at your heartstrings. Does it suck that people lose their job? Absolutely. But do people lose their jobs every day? Yes. You have to be able to be flexible enough to go find a new job. I mean, maybe I'm seem callous, or maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but a friend of mine lost a job recently. Guess what they're doing? Finding a new job.
Another job?
Yes. Yes.
Now, when you have a federal employee who loses a job, keep in mind, that is one less person that taxpayers are responsible for.
That's right.
You're actually putting money back into the private sector.
The private sector, which is the whole point. That's what we want to do.
That's not the case when the auto worker loses his job.
Right.
That's
right.
You know, now you don't have someone who is actually productive within the private sector. They've got to go find another job in order to make money to then again be productive in the private sector. Totally different when it's a federal employee.
Yes.
Totally different. And to think, with the polling we've seen, anywhere from 65 to 81% of Americans, because it's been a variety of polls, but it ranges in there, agree with cutting the size of the federal workforce. That is across the board, Republicans and Democrats.
You have to. It just makes no sense otherwise. Because you can't spend your way out of debt. My sweet mama, not well educated, but very wise. I've heard her say that my entire life. You cannot spend your way out of debt. And for a long time, Los, I didn't know what it meant. I didn't take it to heart. I didn't really pay attention to it. It made sense to me. But now it's on display. Like, it was something small that she said is now almost like a huge banner hanging above the federal government. You cannot spend your way out of debt. You have to get this right. You have to fix this if you want to have a country at all. So when you see the Democrats booing and hissing and holding up signs, they are cheering against you as an American citizen, as a person that voted for Donald Trump. They're cheering. And here's the hardest part for me to swallow, Los, is they're cheering against America.
Yeah.
But what? Would there ever be a point when Joe Biden was in office that he made a good decision that you thought was good for America that you booed and hissed? I can't imagine ever that being the case.
This is how I know how crazy they truly are. They're openly rooting for recession.
Yes. Yes, they are. And Donald Trump is, get ready, he'll probably address this tonight, that the economy is in recession. Scott Bessent has already said it. He said all of these propping up of the economy with federal jobs, and because that's the only jobs that were created under Joe Biden, as you already know. If you listen to this show, you
more than
80-some
percent.
Yeah, you already know that. That was a prop up of the economy. And then printing money nonstop to push it into the economy, which caused all the inflation. That is artificially propping up. So Scott Bessent and Donald Trump will probably talk about it tonight, how we are going into a slowdown. And we've been there. This is not something new that's happened in the last, a little over a month. This is something that's been happening for the last 2, 3, 4 years.
Because they are the party that does not believe in humanity. And I don't have a problem saying this because, let's face it, we've had the whole abortion issue, but I'll put it aside for the moment. We've had the numbers that whenever we have a recession, you have about a 5% increase in deaths. that it's basically 0.5 per thousand. So when we have a recession, we recognize that that is going to kill people across the country. Why would you be rooting for that?
Because they don't love America, because they are communist at heart, and it only matters.
It's a religion of death is what communism is.
That's exactly right, man. That is their religion. You couldn't put it in a better way. That's why they hate Christianity so bad. And I say this all the time, and if I sound like a broken record, I'm sorry. Those, they hate Christianity because you don't worship at the altar of government. You have a higher power that you answer to, and they hate that.
Yeah,
they despise it.
Economic downturns cause horrible scenarios that end up affecting general health. It ends up affecting children's health. It ends up affecting the median age by which people start to pass away. You start to see the effects on society. We're not looking for a recession, albeit we've already had one under Joe Biden. They just decided not to call it a recession.
And it continues into the first month and a half of Donald Trump's term. It didn't mean that it started on January 20th, but that's what they're trying to tell you, and that's what they want you to believe.
You inherited a crap burger that was being propped up with federal dollars when I called it a sugar high for all of these years.
Yep.
And I said they're printing money in order to artificially keep these companies looking like they're solid, and in order to keep the economy looking like it's solid. Do you think it's any surprise that the numbers were revised for 12 straight months, that we had 600,000 jobs that were created under the Biden administration in the last year that disappeared? Poof.
Gone.
What happened to 600,000 jobs?
They were never there.
They
never existed.
It never happened.
They told you a fat lie, and they continue to tell you lies today, and they will continue to boo and hiss and pull against America tonight when Donald Trump addresses. And Donald Trump's going to make mistakes. Donald Trump is imperfect. I don't worship at the altar of Trump, but do I think he's making the best decisions for America? Yes. Is he doing what I voted for him to do? I think you listening right now probably say yes, and I say yes too. Does that mean he will be flawless? No. Does that mean he's not going to make mistakes? No, he absolutely will make mistakes. Find and point to the one that's perfect. I'll wait. It's not going to happen. But do I think that he's doing the best and has the best interest of the American people? Yes. I never felt that way with Joe Biden. Certainly didn't feel that way with Barack Obama.
He's playing into a populist message. He's playing into nationalism, and this works. You want to know what he just put out just a little bit over an hour ago?
What's that?
All federal funding will stop, capital letters, for any college, school, or university that allows illegal protests. Agitators will be imprisoned or permanently sent back to their country from which they came. American students will be permanently expelled or, depending on the crime, arrested. No mass. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
And you know who supports all of this? Americans.
Yes.
Do Democrats support it?
No.
Do liberals support it? No. Are the people that are Hamas sympathizers, do they support it? No. But the American people do. You can see it everywhere you turn. You saw it on back in November when we voted. Americans reject all of this. And I reject it. These people are saying we support a terrorist organization. Those people that are making it hard for Jewish students to go to class. I mean, that's illegal in and of itself. And then you throw it's on behalf of a terrorist organization on top of it. Find me a person that is in the 80% that supports that.
No, it doesn't. And so, again, a populist message. And what he's going to give out this evening is going to be a populist message. And then it's going to be so much fun to run over to MSNBC. Now, I know they're going to be missing Joy Reid.
Oh, well.
They'll maybe be able to give us some Rachel Maddow.
Maybe.
But they will be trying to clamor as to how to spin this in a direction that doesn't work. Whereas the rest of us are going to say, yeah, okay, that makes some sense.
Yeah, common sense is back.
It's just common sense. That's all he's doing. Remember, this is not a conservative president. All right, he has conservative aspects. He's been the most conservative since Reagan, but he's not a conservative. He's more of a common sense, I'm going to find common ground with as many Americans as possible on as many topics as possible.
And he's been successful.
That's what he's been doing.
Wildly successful at it. That's why people like Bill Maher say, you're dying on the wrong hill. And he repeats it over and over again. And you know who's not listening to him? The Democrats, which is great for us.
Fine for me.
Good.
Which one do you want to argue? You want to argue that more energy production is bad?
Right.
Do we want to argue that getting rid of federal workers that are not producing is bad?
Mm-hmm.
Give me the bad somewhere around here. Tell me in the first month, stopping wars is bad. I talked about the gentleman who had lost his daughter during the Parkland high school shooting and how everything, when it came to pausing aid to Ukraine, was F these people, F this. I can't believe they're doing this, F you guys. So let me get this straight. You're an advocate for gun safety and gun control, yet you're rooting for war to continue in Europe. Tell me about that pretzel.
Yeah, those don't go together.
I know it's just politics. You're using your daughter in the interest of your own politics, which is as gross as it gets.
Disgusting. Anti-woman. The Democrats are anti-woman. They're anti-immigrant, and they've made that perfectly clear. When you had the representative that we brought up, Representative Vasquez out of New York, saying, Elon Musk, what the hell are you doing here in America? Go back to South Africa.
Well, he's an American citizen, ma'am.
She has no idea. But the bigger point is the fact that they would say that nobody's illegal. Everybody can be here, right? But if it doesn't fall in line with their style of politics, they're anti-immigrant. Anti-education, they are against choice because they're beholden to teachers' unions. And they're pro-war. They'll celebrate that tonight. They're pro-abortion. They always celebrate that. And they're pro-big government because they are always defending. You got to sign up right now. This House supports federal workers. We all support people that are doing their job, like the example you used, your brother-in-law, who was able to send the email to his supervisor giving the 5 things that he's done.
Hey, you sent it to Doge.
Yeah.
Just like the idea, yeah, he had to send the email.
But that's the thing. If he's doing his job, we got no problem.
No big deal. In fact, he responded probably day of. No big deal. That's what you do. So this sign, Katie Pavlich has it. It's a new yard signs that have been dropped in D.C. for tonight.
Of course.
This House supports.
That's not AstroTurf at all.
Federal workers. You want to know the sign that the redheaded libertarian says she has in front of her house?
I would love to see it.
It says, in this house, we say gay and retarded.
You're free to speak. You're free to speak again in America. Oh, my goodness. You know, it's funny because
corruption has no home here. Proud Doge family.
Yeah, let's get some of those.
Funny.
Let's get some of those yard signs.
This house supports federal workers finding new jobs.
That's right. But that's the thing. Those signs would be more in line with what the American people support.
Yeah, much more of a populist message.
So Bernie Sanders, he was asked, because we bring up fraud, waste, and abuse, and the fact that the government or the Democrats are so in favor of big government. He was asked on NBC, of all places. I didn't expect this question to ever be presented on NBC. NBC asked Bernie Sanders if the Democrats should have cut fraud, waste, and abuse. And Bernie, well, he was stumped.
Both Medicare and Medicaid made more than $100 billion in payment errors in 2023. Let me ask you, Senator, Democrats were in charge for 4 years. Should the Democratic Party have done more to address some of those issues with the insolvency of our entitlement programs?
And Trump was in power 4 years before that.
Trump.
If there is waste and fraud in the Defense Department, which is the largest single budget item that we fund, which has not been able to fulfill an independent audit in the last 7 times, we should go after waste, fraud, and abuse in every agency of government. But let us be very clear. What Republicans are trying to do right now is to make massive cuts in Medicaid. Why are they doing that? Because they want to be able to use those savings to provide over $1 trillion in tax breaks for the richest 1%. You don't take food away from children, health care away from struggling people to give tax breaks to billionaires. Do we go after waste and fraud in every agency of government? Yes, we do.
It just doesn't resonate anymore. He comes across as the old communist who fooled you for a long time. The Bernie bros out there,
they've woken up.
They're the ones who came around to realize he's so full of it.
And it came out when they pinned him down and asked him about taking money from Big Pharma. And he was like, I don't know. And then the answer was yes.
It's not comparison to all the money I've brought in.
Yeah. In comparison, it's my minuscule. It doesn't matter.
It's like, Bernie, you and Elizabeth Warren take more than anyone else that was sitting in that room And when it was thrown in your face that way, didn't have any response.
Of course.
The game was revealed. And so now that he continues down the road of, well, they're going to cut Medicaid, it always goes back to the same thing. You're looking for waste, fraud, and abuse so you can save the American taxpayer. There will not be one, in my opinion, there will not be one way that will be legally touched in Congress.
Dude, as a guy that served in the Navy, and I love the United States military, there's so much waste, fraud, and abuse in the Pentagon. We need DOGE to go through there. So I'm on board, Bernie. I want them to go through the Pentagon, too.
And I'd like for them to be able to offer the tax breaks that they're talking about.
Absolutely right.
And if we can suspend capital gains for like 2 years, that'd be awesome. Thank you. Just wanted to throw that on out there.
Yeah, just help a fellow where you can.
Help a friend out a little bit.
That's all. But that's the thing. He's saying, well, they're gonna reduce benefits so they can give their friends tax breaks. That old, tired trope does nothing. It does. If it were was it EKG for the heart?
Yes.
If it wouldn't even have a beep. It would just be flat line. That line.
Now, he did what you would expect. Well, Donald Trump before that.
That was the first thing out of his mouth.
Let's be very honest. Donald Trump didn't know what he was doing in 2016 to 2019. He was finding it out as he went.
He was building it as he was trying to fly it.
That's how you ended up with like a John Bolton in your office.
Yeah.
Okay, like he was very honest about it when he did the Rogan interview leading up to the election. I was given a list. I was told who to hire. And he thought, hey, because I hired these people, they're going to be on my side.
Just like in a regular business.
That's not the way Washington works. That's what he found out. So the idea of going, well, listen, we didn't spend all that in Congress, so why would money be allocated to that? He had no idea what USAID and what so many of the rest of these agencies were able to use money on. How they would send it, how they would wash it, how they would launder it. Now, you want to talk about coming in and in the first month, this is the damage you've done because you knew what to do now. 4 years to plan.
He had 4 years to plan. He knew exactly who he was going to put in every position. I mean, it was probably a late addition being RFK because that was a late joining of teams.
It was
if
after
you will.
the shooting in Pennsylvania.
That's right. So maybe he didn't have RFK down, but I bet he had a list of people that he was going to, if that one didn't come to fruition.
And for Aunt Peg and for your crazy uncle and all the rest of you.
I hope she's listening. She's not. I know she's not. She hates me.
Had you just left things alone in 2020,
you'd be done.
The gravy train would have kept running for all these people. You wouldn't have had to worry about federal workers or anything else. All of the spending and all of the stuff that's going on would have continued from 2020 to 2024 under Donald Trump, and he would have still been surrounded by a bunch of people that were against him. But no, you had to mess with the election and drop boxes and Zuckerbucks and all that. So now you know what you get? You get the horns, man. You get the freaking horns.
Gosh, it's unbelievable that they have no idea that that's the case. They still don't recognize.
They're feeling it now. They'll feel it tonight, too. And then they'll feel it tomorrow and the next day and the next 3 years.
They won't even know where it's coming from, though. They've not realized that. They have not. They do not know. They don't. They have no idea.
Man, it's good being us right now. It's so good.
This is the top of the mountain, and it is good.
Enjoy it, everybody.
Going back to that, and I'll end our conversation on this. The good Lord works in mysterious ways. I've said it my entire life. I've heard it my entire life, and I believe it. And we're seeing it. I believe we're seeing it play out. That statement play out. 9 o'clock hour is brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999. Over 200,000 jobs done. Windows, doors, siding, roof, gutters, build a deck, screen in a deck, anything on the outside of the house, they can do it, and they'll do it to A+ rating fashion. They'll get it done for you. 8779 Southern, southernexteriors.co is the number. Southernexteriors.co. The real reason the left, all of a sudden, hates Elon Musk. Next on the Morning Extra.
I get a surprising amount of blowback from wonderful listeners who think that I'm a little rough on the media. Okay, I'm listening. Tell me how the press isn't biased.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Convenience is defined as the state of being able to proceed with something with little effort or difficulty. Well, at RBM of Atlanta, we embody this philosophy. Meet our Mercedes-Benz pickup and delivery service. It gives you back time and money. Does your Mercedes-Benz need service? If so, we'll pick up your vehicle that's requiring service from your home or office and bring it back to our dealership for the required service. With over 100 appointments available every weekday, over 50 appointments on Saturdays, and more than 200 courtesy vehicles in our fleet, we're here to serve. We'll work around your schedule. We're here to save you time, energy, and money. RBM of Atlanta is a J.D. Power 2023 Diamond Dealer of Excellence for the customer sales experience and Georgia's only 9-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best winner. We're proud to be Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964. Pickup and delivery service restrictions do apply. Ask your service coordinator or service advisor for details.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's truprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
Tired of financial uncertainty? Tune into Smart Income Radio and take control of your financial future. Whether you're gearing up for retirement, already retired, or looking to make smarter money moves, Smart Income Radio delivers the strategies you need to secure your wealth and future. Get expert insights, proven strategies, and practical advice to build, protect, and grow your wealth so you can enjoy the life you deserve. Smart Income Radio, Saturdays at 8 a.m. Plan smart, protect more. Retire with confidence.
Atlanta, it's Mark from the Safe House. Now that President Trump has unburdened us from what could have been, our country's finally headed in the right directions. But the Democrats are screaming and yelling and losing their minds. And unfortunately, the bad guys are still here and they want your stuff. Thank you, Joe Biden. And customers are still reporting break-ins and thefts of their hard-earned valuables. Don't wait till it's too late. Get a quality safe from the Safe House. We carry the largest selection of safes in the Southeast. And remember, gun safes are sales tax-free at Atlanta Safe House. So give us a call or go to AtlantaSafeHouse.com.
You may know that ATL Turf Co. has become a leader in artificial grass design and installation services. But you may not know that ATL Turf Co. is a large artificial grass distributor. We only sell U.S.-made, premium name brand turf at factory direct pricing below wholesale. And now we're open to the public with large inventories of lawn and landscape, putting green, athletic, and pet turf on sale. Plus, all remnants are on sale for only $1 per square foot, direct from Dalton to our warehouse in Kennesaw. Visit atlturfco.com to learn more. atlturfco.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Lalamia, owner of the Trusted Toolbox. Are home repairs piling up? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Relax. We've got you covered. From drywall dings and leaky faucets to deck repairs and trim replacement, we're your one-stop shop for everything for your home needs. No more juggling multiple contractors. Just call us at the Trusted Toolbox and we'll handle it. Your home deserves the best, and we don't want you breaking your back trying. Call the Trusted Toolbox today at 770-623-3097 or visit us at thetrustedtoolbox.com. The Trusted Toolbox, your one-stop shop for home repairs and more.
At Nelson Elder Care Law, we understand that family's everything. That's why we prioritize your family's future with personalized asset protection solutions. Call us today to schedule your legacy planning meeting and discover how our team can tailor our services to meet your family's unique needs, ensuring a secure and worry-free future. NelsonElderCareLaw.com.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your headlines for Tuesday, March 4th. Fort Moore is undergoing another name change. U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth signed a memorandum Monday that reverts the name of the Army base to Fort Benning. The name change pays tribute to Corporal Fred G. Benning, who was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross for his actions in World War I. A resolution to legalize sports betting in Georgia goes up for vote in the House this week. The bill's sponsor, Representative Marcus Wiedauer, says regulating online sports betting could generate $150 million for Georgia pre-K. If passed, the legislation will allow Georgians to vote on legalized sports betting in 2026. Another windy day today with highs in the low 70s and storms moving in overnight. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
The 9 o'clock hour is brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999. 200,000 jobs. They do it all to the outside of your home, and you can reach out to them easily at their number 8779 Southern and southernexteriors.co. It's southernexteriors.co.
Can I give you another piece of really great news?
Yeah, of course.
And eventually it'll filter to everybody so we all get to enjoy this.
Okay.
The Braves pocket schedule has arrived.
Oh, that's important around here. Yes. I don't think you realize.
We have boxes of the pocket schedules from the Braves, which means they're now going out to the entirety of the community, so you can have one. You can grab one wherever you want. They're always going to be around town, but they're now going out.
Look there.
We've got a crate that is just sitting right over in the middle of the office, and there's just box after box after box of pocket schedule.
That's right. In case you want to put one in your wallet or something.
Baseball's almost here.
That's right.
Smell the hot dogs.
That's right.
Yes.
And the pizza and the wings and because they got great food over at Truist Park. Holy cow.
We're
so
2
good.
weeks away from MLB The Show coming out again. So it's
the
on
new
18th.
Okay.
Yes. So I got plans. I didn't play last year, so I got plans. And by the way, are we now going to, because I know last year we had an employee who overstepped the bounds. He's now done this twice.
I don't
He did this at a Georgia
back.
game, and he did this at a Braves game.
I don't expect we're getting it back.
We're not going to be able to get access to the levels that we had access to before so we can get food.
I don't think so. So if
He's ruined two. We have a sales.
I didn't even know about the Georgia one.
Ruined two. He tried to sneak liquor into the Georgia game. Now, granted, I gave it to him. But I'm like, dude, what kind of a rookie are you? You stuck it in your pockets?
Yeah,
stick it in your socks, man.
Yes. Oh, my heavens, dude.
He walked in and missed the first quarter of the game between like Georgia and Tennessee. This was a couple years ago in the rain when they were both, Tennessee was number 1, Georgia was like number 3. And so he missed the first quarter because they were shaking him down over like, why'd you have this liquor in your pocket?
Because I was bringing it in to drink.
Bringing it in to drink.
You know? Yeah.
Duh, come on.
And he's a smart guy.
Yes.
I mean, I think he was a nuke in the Navy. I mean, you got to be up there to work with nuclear power in the United States Navy. The Navy handles nuclear power around the country.
So he ruined that scenario at the Georgia game and then ruined the entire Brave scenario for us. I'm going to take it under advisement. I'm going to still try and go down and get food.
Well, yeah. I mean, the worst they can tell you is no, right?
Right. But I'll just say, like, hey, don't you know who I know? I know Tug Howard.
Oh, well, believe me, that won't get you anywhere. They'll be like, who? I don't know who that is.
I'll call Tug if you keep giving me a hard time here.
That will help 0%. You'd be in real bad shape if you drop me.
I don't even say, don't you know who I am? I go, don't you know who I know?
Yeah.
I know Tug.
Dude, that's a better spot to be, though. If you're in the scenario, instead of being the guy, whether it's the ball player or the artist, the musician or whatever, you want to be the friend of that person. That way you don't have to deal with all the nonsense. You just get the good stuff, the good side. You don't have to worry about signing autographs and taking pictures, which happens. And you can never have a bad day because if somebody goes up to whomever, you pick the artist, Jason Aldean or Luke Bryan or Carrie Underwood, and they've had a bad day and they don't treat you with the glad handing. They don't treat you the way you want to be treated. Then you go straight to social media and be like, I met them. They're a-holes. That's the way it always works.
Yep.
Like, they're not allowed to have a bad day, ever, because you'll be the person that goes out there and bashes them. And then you won't like them anymore, and then you'll hate them. It's kind of like the Elon Musk thing with the Democrats. They loved him. They held him on the pedestal. They would show off their Elon autographs.
2 years ago, he might have been, as far as like a business mogul, their top guy. Probably like him, Cuban, let's see.
People like that.
Yeah, I mean, Bezos,
yes,
that was the
and
group.
now look, Bezos, they're rebelling against him because he said he's going to clean up the Washington Post.
The editorial board.
Yeah. He was like, we're going to focus on human rights and we're going to focus on free markets. That's the things that we think are the most important to our readers. And you're having people rebel against that. So first it was TDS, right? The fact that he defected, that he's on Team Trump. You had TDS that just, and then it, I believe, morphed into Elon derangement syndrome. I believe that exists now.
Yes. He is now the target because they look at him as a king.
Did you see where people are setting the Tesla charging stations on fire? That's a new trend that's happening several places around the country.
So did you see the story of the woman who was messing around with Tesla dealerships?
Yeah, well, right. So the one where they're spray painting the big X's on the windshields and trying to set it on fire or something?
Yeah.
Yes.
Turns out it's a man.
Not. It's a woe, man.
The trans.
Yeah, it's woe, man.
Why are they so aggressive and angry?
Because there's something.
It might be because they still got that jingly jangly, and they think they're a woman.
That's right. I think that's probably it.
So let's face it, we've all done something bad because the jingly jangly told us to.
That's right.
Women have a little bit more control over this thing.
Yeah,
but every now and then you have to tell them to calm down.
Yeah, and in Trump's America, you can.
In Trump's America, you can tell that lady, you need to calm down. Now, remember, if she's got a jingly jangly, there's less opportunity. She's probably not going to listen to you as much, but there's a better chance in Trump's America if it's a real woman.
I saw a video yesterday of an actual woman.
Not a Democrat woman, but
she
a real
was
woman.
sitting in line at, let's say, CVS or whatever. She was waiting on a prescription, but they'd gone to lunch, right? And the window hadn't been raised up so you could tell them what you needed. They'd gone to lunch. She was just waiting. And there was a man who believes himself to be a woman.
Oh, I saw this too.
In a like an F-150 or a, I don't know, Silverado, Sierra something.
The typical truck that women drive all the time.
Yes, typical dude truck. And this person was so mad that she was waiting there in front of him, and he got out. He got out and just started. And this woman was was not having it. She came up out of the car and she said, "You get your ass away from me!" And they, started barking back and forth. And finally, the man who fashioned himself as a woman got in his pickup truck and squealed out, because women peel out so often. It was just like, it couldn't be more like all the stereotypes and all the stereotypical things that dudes do, the man who was pretending to be a woman did.
I can't help but think about Chris Farley. You remember the old skit from SNL when
he and Adam Sandler?
Well, no, in this case, he's got long hair and he's out to lunch with the girls.
Oh, yeah.
And they start questioning him. He's like,
"Give me those fries,
I'm starving.
Yes, the Gap girls.
Right. That's what I always think about. So when I introduce you to Lucy Grace Nelson, who was caught with explosives as a Tesla dealership.
Lucy got a strong jawline.
Lucy looks like a man with long hair.
Would not want to fight Lucy.
Why so violent, Lucy?
Angry.
And then in every story, like in the AP, it has to tell you about, I've charged a woman in connection with a string of vandalism at Colorado Tesla dealership. A woman appeared in federal court. It's not a woman.
It's not a woman. Not a woman. No matter what. But the AP will continue to tell you that.
You have to go after Elon and his Teslas.
That's exactly right. And they'll continue to do that.
Their lady man army.
That's right.
Let me say
They're
this.
a woe man army.
Like one of the jokes that Shane Gillis gets into, and we'll get some more Shane Gillis at the end of the show.
Yes, which is great. I watched this last night, and then I saw it pop up in your nose. I was like, yes, let's go.
He talks about what if an army was gay, like how much scarier it would be. Like Vikings roll up and they're all gay.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what, when it came to, like, for instance, if you watch the movie 300, know that in real life, those men were sleeping together sexually before they would fight because it created a tighter bond with the Spartans of Sparta. They were the first, like, gay man army, and it made them more fearsome because they would fight harder for each other because they would make love to one another. I know that doesn't really fit the whole 300 story.
Well,
but that's why when you tell me that there's a lady man who's looking to blow up the Tesla dealership, I'm going to listen to you.
And that's why there's such a thin line between love and hate. Like in a husband and wife scenario.
Maybe Zelensky can try to spread some of that philosophy over in the Ukrainian troops. Maybe all of a sudden they'll put up a better fight against Russia.
You just got to bring in the right trans women.
There's not
and
enough
they are
of them.
ready to tear you up.
And all you have to do is say dude or sir or something like that, and they will come in.
I'm sorry, I've just ruined all of Sparta for some people out there.
I think people...
You're going to rethink that whole 300 movie, aren't you?
Yeah. I think surely people have at least heard of that before. Because it's very big in the Middle East, too. I remember being on Liberty in, like, Bahrain and places like that. And there would be two men holding hands, and then there would be a woman and some children walking a few steps behind. And as I was told, because I was a young sailor, I had no idea what was going on. I couldn't help but notice, and they're like, it's men for pleasure, women for procreation. That's what it is.
It created strong bonds between warriors in Sparta.
But Just right off in the ditch.
Well, it's not even Friday.
I know, right? We're already just
it's not 9:37, and you're learning about the gay warriors of Sparta
and why
the practice of homosexuality, so they would fight harder for each other.
And why some of these folks who believe themselves to be a different gender are so angry.
These trans women that are so dangerous
and so angry. And let me tell you that
she got out of that truck mad in that video,
and when he spoke.
Leave me alone, I'm starving.
It's exactly right. Sounded just like it. I mean, had you closed your eyes, you'd be like, why is this man attacking this young woman? If you weren't looking at the video, that's what you would, because your instincts would have told you that. The voice would have been the dead giveaway.
Moment of silence for Lucy Grace Nelson. All right. That's good. All right.
That's enough. There you go.
That's pulling for you, Lucy. To get on the right side of history here.
On top of TDS and EDS.
Mental health.
That's right. Why do the Democrats just
burn down Tesla dealerships so I can get back at Elon?
That's right.
Or maybe you can be like Elvira, the actress who plays her,
right.
where she decided to sell her Tesla and then donate the money to NPR. Let me give you a little hint about economics, baby girl. You already bought the Tesla.
You've already paid. You already paid all the taxes.
You already paid it. He already got his money, so did his company.
And so the second sale has nothing to do with Elon. It's nothing but ceremonial. But that's the Democrat way, right?
Yeah.
Don't judge me on what I actually accomplished. Judge me on my intentions. And her intentions were to stick it to Elon.
I'm going to show off.
Yeah.
And I'm going to help. Good, because I'm glad that Senator Kennedy is going after NPR and PBS and saying we're not going to fund propaganda anymore.
Because why should we? And how many years have we been saying this? This is not a new idea. We've been saying this for years and years and years. Why does Dickey Broadcasting Company have to compete against a subsidized talk product over at NPR?
Exist on your own.
They can't.
That's all.
They can't. It's been proven over and over again that they can't. I would love to know the numbers, and they'll never tell you. Of like Sirius XM, like the Patriot, because they have it like with the Patriot channel or whatever, and then they'll have the liberal alternative. I'd love to know the numbers of people listening to each one of those, because they're both paid for, right?
Right.
They don't have to worry about ratings. And
they
everything
work on subscriptions.
Right, because it's a different model altogether.
Right.
And it doesn't matter who's listening more or less, but I would love to know the answer.
I wonder how proprietary that information is.
Very.
Yeah, we don't know anybody over there.
I learned something about them, too, years ago. Is that XM, they have that whole, we have X amount of subscribers. What they don't tell you, because it sounds good, the numbers are great, or they sound great. What they don't tell you is that every car that is on a dealership lot that has a XM compatible radio, they count that as a subscription because it's got a 3-month subscription when you buy it.
Purchased.
Exactly
Okay.
right. And so they count those as subscribers too. And I'm not bashing XM. It's great, man. If you whatever.
If you travel,
yeah,
it's awesome.
It's fantastic. It is. I don't say that to bash them. I just say that so you know the answer.
If I traveled more, if I was salesman or I had a territory and I was like all up and through, let's say, south to North Georgia.
Yeah.
Man, I'd have it without a problem.
Yeah.
So you can listen to everything. But again, this is also why the app world has changed all of this. People have actually found it because it's free.
Right.
That you can just dial into any radio station or any particular product or any podcast around the world within seconds.
And not have to pay a subscription. And again, that's not to knock SiriusXM. Good
no,
for
they
them.
still make money.
Yeah,
they got good margins.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And I know plenty of people that work over there, especially in the music world.
And they're attached to Liberty Media.
That's right, which is
part of the Braves. So you want them doing well so that there's money going all the way around. F1, the Braves, Sirius,
all of it.
All make good money. Good for y'all.
But at the same time, you should know, like when you hear those extraordinary numbers, be like, well, wait a minute. I wonder how many new cars are sitting, or even used cars, are sitting on dealership lots that they count in that number. It's like government math. You know, there's not being completely upfront.
Renewals would probably be the best way to figure out.
If you were going to get a true number. That's right. Exactly right. When we continue on Extra 106.3, identity politics is really funny. It really is. And we'll prove it next on Extra 106.3.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Tuesday, March 4th. The Atlanta Hawks got a last-second buzzer beater in Memphis for the win to beat the Grizzlies 132-130. Karis LeVert scores the game winner with no time left on the clock after a steal by Dyson Daniels. The Hawks are now 28-33 on the season. From the NFL, the deadline for franchise tagging players is quickly approaching. The Minnesota Vikings are reportedly unlikely to tag quarterback Sam Darnold after the Vikings are looking to re-sign the quarterback. Darnold was 14-3 as a starter last season. And from Braves spring training, the Braves are in action this afternoon from Northport as they host the Minnesota Twins this afternoon. First pitch is set for 1:05. You can hear that game on our sister station with their app, 680 The Fan.
We were looking at our income tax returns, and this time around, we're having to pay in. It's not exactly what I want to do, but it's what's required. I didn't do a good enough job using those loopholes because it's written in the tax code that you should pay as little as taxes as you can. So next year, I hope to do better. Now, there will be people that are getting a big refund back, and you're thinking, man, what am I going to do with all this money? I have a suggestion. Be the envy of the neighborhood. Be the envy of the cul-de-sac. And love that house, your biggest asset. Love that house the way you did on day one. Get yourself a new set of doors. You know, like the double door thing is very popular right now, and it looks really nice. I see them going up in our neighborhood all the time. New windows, new siding. I mean, you can just improve your home in such a short amount of time with Southern Exteriors. New roof, gutters, whatever it is. You want, like my wife and I, when we get done with the project we're doing now, Southern Exteriors is going to come out and build and redo our deck and then extend it. And then part of it we'd like to have screened in, so you have a little bit of outside, a little bit. You see what I mean? There's all kinds of things you can do to make your home even more valuable, even bigger an asset. All you need to do is call them because they will give you 0% financing for 12 months, or they will give you 10% off any job, no matter how big the job. Calling them is easy. 8779-SOUTHERN is the number, or visiting on the web at southernexteriors.co. It's southernexteriors.co.
After joining the U.S. Army, Thomas Kennedy served 2 tours of duty in Iraq and 1 in Afghanistan, and he earned dozens of awards and service medals throughout his honorable career. But while he was deployed in eastern Afghanistan, this soldier's life was tragically snuffed out. Thomas was killed by a Taliban suicide bomber. He left behind his wife, Cammie, and their beautiful twins, Maggie and Brody, who were just weeks shy of their 2nd birthday when they lost their dad. But because of friends like you, Cammie and her children didn't just face their loss alone. Tunnel Towers provided their family with a mortgage-free home. You and other caring friends helped them step in and offer a ray of hope to Cammie, Maggie, and Brody. Families like the Kennedys, who have sacrificed so much for us and our nation, need your help now more than ever. Please donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I enjoy a good night's sleep, and I like to breathe while I'm sleeping. My wife appreciates that, too. That's why I wear a CPAP. You want the right machine. You want expert advice. You want all the supplies that go with it. You get it all at CPAPs, etc. in Alpharetta. Machines, masks, tubing, filters, cleaning supplies, all of it, and they ship nationwide. Walk-ins, by the way, are welcome. CPAPs, etc. Alpharetta, CPAPSETC.com.
Join A Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Madelon and host Tug Cowart for the weekly radio show Back Your Blue. They will highlight special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. This week's guest is Lou Kuhn, founder of Stop Suicide USA. Tune in on Saturdays or catch up on all past episodes wherever you get your podcasts or at thepodcastpark.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
Sales excellence expert positions offered by Kuhn & Nagel Incorporated in East Point, Georgia. Manage and support the end-to-end tender process for air and sea freight logistics. Collaborate with internal teams and external stakeholders to develop competitive and compelling tender proposals. At be willing to travel domestically 30% of time and internationally 10% of time. If interested, please submit resume to mary.boruch@kuehne-nagel.com.
Extra 106.3 is the only station in Atlanta to bring you the legend Neil Vortz, a live and local news talk show on your ride in, and the Kimmer Show every afternoon. Be here at 3 for the Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder, only on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Tug and Los until 10, got about 12 minutes left with us or so. So we thought, all the heavy conversation that we've had throughout the day, that we would maybe put a smile on your face. And it's easy to do when it's Shane Gillis.
In Trump's America,
you can still laugh.
Identity politics is fun.
That's exactly what I wrote
So
down.
Yesterday we aired from Saturday Night Live the new medication.
Yeah,
couple of beers, and was it a little bump or any?
Yeah,
bump?
a little bump.
A little bump is the other one, just in case. That those were the new medications that they were airing, and so in this particular piece of audio from over the weekend, you're going to have it set up as like a 4-man table doing the news, and it's 2 white anchors, Shane Gillis and another woman, and 2 black anchors. And you'll notice Kenan Thompson right away because
who's from Atlanta.
Who's from Atlanta, and
hysterical.
He sets up a lot of this stuff. They'll check in with their helicopter man who's doing traffic. You'll hear that. But I want you to take a listen to this is doing news stories and then trying to identify which race was at fault for the story.
The suspects are believed to be 4 white.
Yes! No, that's right.
I'm sorry, what's going on?
Nothing. Yeah, just relieved that the police have white identified the suspects.
Exactly. Very white. Okay. Crime is crime, and we're all relieved.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, it's shaping up to be quite a busy week for local law enforcement as police deliver on their promise to crack down on the increasing drug traffic.
Uh-oh. Not drugs.
A raid early this morning uncovered a major meth ring.
Okay, we're good.
In a quiet suburban neighborhood.
Now, you know.
Know what?
That they ain't one of us, okay?
Well, how do you know that?
Meth. Quiet. Come on now.
All right, let's see the picture.
Why are you entertaining this stupid game?
Because we're down 2-0, Suzanne. You want to lose? Show the picture.
Lose what? Police say they are still on the lookout for this man.
White guy.
Breaking bad looking ass. That's 2-zip.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me do one.
Let me do one.
Police are looking for looters, huh? You hear that? These looters were spotted after wildfires devastated homes in Hunt Valley Township. Looters.
Okay, just read the story.
That's enough.
Looks like they stole televisions, bikes. Who do you think that was? What color do you think that was?
He even loses his character.
Dale.
All right. Police are on the lookout for the alleged ringleader, a local man named Ethan Kapowski. Damn it.
All right, this is childish. It's time to take a moment to hear from our eye in the sky, Sheldon Holmes, with the latest on traffic.
Thanks, Suzanne. As usual, we've got a bit of a lunch hour bottleneck situation heading east on Route 30.
Helicopter pilot.
And speaking of 3-0, get your brooms ready because it's looking like a sweep, y'all.
He's keeping tabs on the score.
Okay, fine. Let's see about this one. Mayhem at the barber shop.
Oh, damn.
After a customer was shot.
Oh, Lord.
During an argument over Drake and Kendrick.
Yeah, that's us. Okay.
3-1. 3-1. Yeah. You guys sure you don't want to see a picture?
Okay, shut up. We still in the lead. How about this? Violence erupted in the parking lot of a concert.
I like where this is going.
Where Shabuzi was performing.
Who the heck is Shabuzi? Country artist. He's a genius, but this sounds like us.
When a man selling bootleg T-shirts opened fire.
Oh, look at that. Buzzer beater. That's you guys all day. 3-2. Buzzer beater.
This is kind of fun now. Let's keep it rolling. A Florida middle school teacher has resigned after falling in love with an 8th grade student.
4-2. Suzanne.
Not so fast.
Suzanne, whose team are you on?
Okay, wait. I haven't finished reading yet. Authorities have charged 38-year-old Lakeisha Williams.
3-3. Thank you, sweet baby Lakeisha.
That's so good, man. That's what Saturday Night Live is supposed to be. That's when it's at its finest.
Push boundaries.
Absolutely. And talk about the things you're not supposed to talk about and make fun of stereotypes and do comedy.
Because when you watch the news, it now is very easy to go, yeah, it's a fun game.
Yeah, it is.
It's the sort of thing you would do in a college dormitory when you're drinking with your friends. Because let's face it, there's not a whole lot of running around and having a great time or spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
It just turns on to put on the news and let's play the game.
Yeah, we have to find ways to entertain ourselves. No doubt, man. I love it when Saturday Night Live is relevant. And they're starting to claw back to be that again. It took them, and I bet they know, because we made fun of them, Los. I think it was you and I that when they did the COVID mask or the COVID, if you get COVID, you get the week off. Yes.
The COVID vacation that you're waiting to get your COVID so you get your week off.
They did it 3 years too late. And you and I were like, both of us were like, if we'd have seen that 3 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to stop laughing, rolling in the floor because it pushed the boundaries. But they were so afraid of going against the narrative.
What if we offend people? Well,
that's the point.
That's comedy at its
That's
best.
the whole point. If you're not a little uncomfortable, if you're not laughing and then going, oh, that's me. If that doesn't happen, the comedy's not good.
Punch lines, man.
Exactly right, dude.
That is the most fun thing to do. Thank you, Lucy Grace Nelson.
Do you remember Dave Chappelle when they did the racial draft?
Yes.
That's what this reminds me of.
20 years ago when they did the racial draft on the Chappelle show.
That's how you know that Chappelle was so far ahead of everybody else. He was doing things that Saturday Night Live did.
He was doing that in 03, 04.
And then gave it all up because he didn't want to conform.
He didn't like the direction that they were trying to turn his show, and so he just said, I'm walking away from this thing.
And did. And for a while, you didn't even see him. Like he went on some sort of sabbatical. I mean, he did all kinds of things. And then when he finally started popping back up, people were like, oh my gosh, it's so great to see him. And now he's as big as he's ever been.
You can watch the entire series of the deal that he signed with Netflix, and to watch every single one of those specials all the way from the start to the closer, and it's just genius on display.
That's exactly right, man.
So good and offensive.
Yeah,
which
right.
is the game.
Which is the perfect reason to do it, to make people uncomfortable, to jar them, to get them to think. Well, I think that's the biggest part. Comedy makes you think.
I think that you have to be human in a way where you see everyone in a certain way. Like when Dave Chappelle talks about where he lives in a small place in Ohio.
And pokes fun at it.
And he talks about how his favorite thing is white women with dirty feet. And how when he talks about the bar he goes to hang out at, he's like, it's Tiki Torch whites. Because he's around common dudes.
That's exactly right.
That's what he's talking about. It's like, so when he makes fun of this stuff, you just go, all right, that's pretty funny.
And it is 9 times out of 10. It is, maybe even 10 times out of 10. I mean, that's the thing. Comedy, I think, is the pulse of what's going on in the real world.
So glad SNL
finally
dropping these bombs back in. That was hilarious.
It was so good. And just like, a couple beers, what was that? Did I say it right?
Couple of beers,
yes. Was really funny to go along with it. Glad that Saturday Night Live is relevant again. They can make and break careers.
Pretty soon, you'll just remember to keep taking your medication. That's all you'll do.
That's right. And then he's all drunk.
He's just drunk.
Slurring.
You won't miss a dose.
Yeah. That's exactly right. That'll do it for us. For Board Op Jure and Front Office Los, I'm Tug. Y'all come back now. You hear?
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's the Kimmer. How's it going? Here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
Guess who among Democrats is polling number one to be their next candidate for President of the United States? Kamala Harris. Boy, the Democrats and the Democrat voters have really learned their lesson this time, haven't they?
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.